There's three aspects to you as an actor. There's three vice presidents of your company, and you're the CEO. What's your name?
I'm Sunny.
Hi, Sunny. What's your last name, Sunny?
Chen, C-H-E-N.
Sunny Chen? Well,
Chen.
that's a great name.
Aw, thank
Well, it's
you.
sort of vibrant. So Sunny Chen Incorporated is a company, and their product is you, Sunny Chen.
Yes, with an E.
Yeah,
I was
Chen.
just gonna say, yeah.
And Sunny Chen has a CEO of this company named Sunny Chen. And the weird thing about actors, we're gonna get into business. I'm not gonna do that much business today. It's gonna be a lot about art. But when we get into the business aspect, because I teach business to actors. Hey, Sam. The reason why a lot of actors are selling themselves incorrectly, and you have the wrong relationship with your agents, and you have the wrong relationship with casting, and you don't understand the industry, is because a lot of actors treat themselves as employees who are out of work. And if you think of yourself as an out-of-work employee, you're already starting from a negative, and also you don't understand the business and how the market works. You are a CEO of a corporation, and your corporation is a small business which has a product, and the product is you as an actor. And so if you can think of yourself as the head of a corporation and selling yourself that way, then you're thinking about marketing, publicity, industry liaisoning, personnel management, and the craft in a much different way. And so Sunny Chen is the CEO of a corporation called Sunny Chen. Now Sunny Chen's CEO hires three vice presidents. A vice president in charge of the craft, which is the product itself, and that vice president's name is Sunny Chen. And then there's a vice president in charge of personnel, which is you personally, and your homeostatic state, and your sense of being, your self-knowledge, your balance, and your physical, intellectual, and emotional well-being, wholeheartedness. And that person in charge of personnel is a vice president named Sunny Chen. And then the third person is the person in charge of business. And that person is the person who hires liaison people for talking to your agents and talking to casting and creating product and marketing and publicity. And that person is in charge of the business. And that person's called Sunny Chen. And the thing about it that's really confusing is that all three vice presidents need to stay as far away from each other as possible. But we mix them and meld them and get them confused, so you cry to your agents, which is not correct, because that should be the business person talking to the agent. You walk into an audition trying to get a job, which is not correct, because that should be the product person, not the business person. And then the personnel person is the one who should go, oh my God, I'm freaking out, it's a recurring part of the I'm going to be directed by Ann Wheeler, or oh my God, I suck, or oh my, breakdowns and all that, which is great. You have to have all that stuff. You should enjoy the experience. Experience is beautiful. I mean, it's an extreme sport. You guys are like hella skiers. Whatever that is, I don't know, but you jump out of a helicopter onto an avalanche or whatever. That's what we do for a living. And so you got to enjoy that. But that person should not be running the business, choosing the headshots, or affecting how you see the craft. So you got to keep these three people different. So today I'm going to talk to three different people. The person who's in charge of the craft of acting, the person who's in charge of the business of acting, and then you, the person who's in charge of you. And we're going to get into this with him, which is the you, the authentic you, the true you, and your self-knowledge about who you are and how you tick. Your shame, because you're all ashamed, and and your pain, and your sorrows, and the experiences that drive you down, and your insecurities, and your vulnerability, and your sensitivity are beautiful. That's what makes you you. And your joy, and your passion, and your discipline, and your excitement for life, and the love that you have in your heart, and all that, you need to have control and ownership of this. You don't have to like yourself. I don't actually know anyone who does. I think that's a mistake. You have to, no, somebody who, I love myself. I'm like, you're in trouble. Like, seriously. Because that's a rabbit hole that's gonna bring you down into insanity. Loving yourself is not really something that is possible. What you need to do is you need to have self-authority, self-ownership, self-value, self-integrity, self-authenticity, self-empowerment. You need to walk into the world and say, this is me, and I'm, you know, you guys have all seen Greatest Showman? This is me, this is me. And you gotta walk in and go, this is me, and this is who I am. And all the foils and troubles and mistakes and blunders and confusions and silliness and, you know, we're all just children in adult husks. Some of you are still almost children, but most of us are children in adult husks pretending that we know what we're doing when we don't. And that persona that you present to the world, that personality, you need to get control of, because that's not you. And who you really are, your authenticity, is what they're hiring. So so that when you surrender to character, character speaks through you because you are an authentic being, so your characters become authentic. But so long as you're portraying or presenting an artifice that you're trying to show the world so that you can be liked, successful, and make it from your insecurity or ego, you're constantly going to buff up against the character and then smear your work, and you become what's known as a personality actor, as a casting people call it. And you can't be that. So we're going to talk about that. So let's talk about that using him. Not him. Him. So this is a younger version of him. But anybody a violinist? Anybody piano player? Nice. Who's a musician? Raise your hands. Oh, that's good. Not, it's not just mean if you're not a musician, that's not good, but musicians, dancers. You're a dancer, you should be like, fussy. If you're a dancer or a musician, then you understand acting, because it's the exact same thing, it's completely analogous. And we're going to talk about what is acting as an art form and what it means. And when I teach the seminar, the biggest one I taught was like 300 people, and I go, what is acting? It's unbelievable. I'd like to say appalling, but it's scary how many people who call themselves actors don't know what the craft is. Now, I'm not going to be condescending and tell you that that's you, but, you know, maybe I'm going to shake you up a bit. If at any point during this talk I'm arrogant and talking down to you, I totally apologize. If I'm the opposite, I'm talking really fast and confusing you, then I apologize. But either way, just ask me questions or tell me to shut up, okay? Music is the art form of what? Sound, Sam, that's right. Music is the art form of sound. Listen. It's about vibrations going into your earlobes and melody and counterpoint. Dance is the art form of what? Movement. It's about choreography and step and the body and space. Acting is the art form of what? If you're in my class, don't say anything. Emotion, yes, and? Did you say living? Who's that? Who's that? Oh, wait, over there, hi! Acting is the art form of life. And so why acting gets confused is when you see somebody playing that violin like that, you go, he looks like he was born to do it, he's doing it so naturally, oh my God, he's so surrendered to it, he makes it look so easy, but that's fucking hard, and I don't know how to do that, so I have respect for it. And when you see somebody dancing, you go, they look like they're just like born to float, and they move, and but you watch The Greatest Showman, you watch the dancing, and you go, they look like they're making it up as they go, and it just comes naturally to them. But anybody who's a dancer knows that that's not true. You spent 12 years contorting your body as a child, looking in the mirror, hating yourself in order to learn how to move. And learning the choreography so that you can forget that it's choreography is incredibly difficult. So you watch the, you know, jazz ballet or dance or hip hop dance, and you go, right, I don't know how to do that. But when you watch Emma Stone, or Michelle Williams, or Kate Winslet, or Kate Blanchett, or Jake Gyllenhaal, or Ryan Gosling do their work, they're doing life. And everybody in the room, I think, is alive. So there's a disrespect for what we do, because they look at it and they go, right, I can do that. And then this is a room of people who know that then when you try to memorize some dialogue, look at somebody, say it like you mean it, have emotions run through you and hit the moments in the script, you go, whoa, this is really hard. So the first thing is acting is the art form of life, and it's really hard, and it takes a very specific process. And the two sides of the coin of acting is the craft of acting, and then the art of being. And that's the difference between that and what we do, because that's a piece of wood with some strings, but the instrument that you're playing is you, and you are extremely complex, and probably not totally self-aware. Okay, I want you to watch him a sec, okay? Yitzhak Perlman. Look at that face.
That's what I was looking at.
Watch his face, study him. Look at him. This is where he cried. He actually breaks down crying in the middle of this Brahms Concerto. Come on, cameraman, give me him. My son and I had the unbelievable, what do you want to say, opportunity, blessing, privilege to sit with the VSO. My son's a violinist, he's 12, he plays with the VSO Youth Orchestra. And we got to watch Yitzhak Perlman rehearse with the VSO. They were doing the Stravinsky. And he's playing, and they start playing. No, they were doing Marschburg. They're playing the Brut Concerto, and he stops and he says to the conductor, "Is it okay if I talk to the first violist?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, go ahead." So he looks at the viola player, and he goes, "So the cadence of this," and he plays her part, and he goes, "At this point is this kind of crescendo." And she goes, "Play it again," and he does it, and then she plays it, they play it together, and she goes, "Thank you," and he goes, "No, thank you." And then they start again. And then he looks to Brahms Concerto and he goes, "I'm so sorry. Is it okay if I talk to the second bassist?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Listen, when you're playing the bass," and he plays the bass line, and he says, "It's a," and they go, "Oh, we got it, great, thanks." And then he stops and he goes, "Is it okay if I speak to the," and by that one, Brahms Concerto's like, "Just speak to anybody you like. It's like Perlman." I mean, he's like the, the Ben Kingsley of the, the music world. He's the greatest living violinist, and potentially the greatest that ever lived. He's still living. He looks over to the timpani, that's the drums, and he takes his violin and he taps out the timpani part, and he goes, "It's a," and he's trying to teach them the stress. So they go, "Thank you." And then he knows every part of the like 80-person orchestra. He knows all their parts off by heart, and he knows how to play it. And I sat there going, "That man is prepared." Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to look at him, and I want you to tell me about him. Do you guys know this concerto? You're not into classical music. It's totally okay. I'm not trying to sell you classical music, although. But the Brahms Concerto is like one of my favorite concertos, and he's playing it note for note. He's also off book, by the way. Come on, show me his face.
It's not his face.
No.
That's the beauty of music, though. It moves you.
No. Watch him. His eyes are closed. Oh, checking in. Look at him. Describe him. Anybody?
Happy.
Nice and loud. I can't hear you.
Happy.
In the zone.
In the zone, dude. Yeah. What else? Happy is great. Anything else? Passionate. Something else.
Ecstasy.
An ecstasy.
Melted into the moment.
Alive.
Confident.
Confident. Thank you. We're going to talk about confidence because nobody in this room is, but you have to be to succeed. And you go, wait, what? Because there's no such thing as confidence. We'll talk about that. Somebody remind me about that. What did you say? How did you say it? Melted into the moment.
Melted into the moment.
When Yitzhak Perlman is playing the Brahms Concerto, who is Yitzhak Perlman? Where is he?
Present?
He's so present that he's not present, but let's say he is present. He's present into what? The music. So Yitzhak Perlman has become what? Not the instrument, close though. He's become the Brahms Concerto. He is the Brahms Concerto. In other words, Yitzhak Perlman is in character. Because the music is driving him somewhere that he's not in charge of. And that's what being in character is. You understand? And because of that, Yitzhak Perlman disappears. And somebody else shows up. Who disappears and who shows up? He becomes the Brahms Concerto, and he's in character. But we watch him, you watch him in this, and he goes, like you can see him loving his grandchildren, having a fight with his wife, like arguing about something with a best friend, orgasming. You can see him, any children here? Nobody under, you can see him, that's good, because I've already dropped a couple expletives. You can see him living all this life of Yitzhak Perlman's life. in a way he would never. Imagine if Yitzhak Perlman walked into order a loaf of bread and went, "Hi." I'd like a. You'd be like, "What the f-?" Right? So who? He becomes the Brahms Concerto, and therefore becomes a character, and therefore loses what? Himself, but which self? The ego self, the conscious self. And you guys need to study Daniel Kahneman. Oh my gosh. Can you remind me something else? We have to talk about the books that you need to read, because you have to read Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. He just happens to be the world's greatest psychologist. I'll give it to you in a second. Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. He becomes the music, and therefore he loses himself, and therefore something unique and true and special and only Yitzhak Perlman shows up. You see? And that thing is the real Yitzhak Perlman. And I don't know if it's this one or the Beethoven, but at the end of the concerts, when he finishes the last note, you see him go, and then he becomes humiliated. And he says every concert, the moment after is the most embarrassing feeling, because you come back to yourself and people are clapping and you're like, oh, and you can see him go, yeah, okay, and walk away. And he's like, I feel so freaking weird now and vulnerable because I just exposed the true me through the music. And that's what we do. But actors tend to jump past the music, want to be a character, and then all they do is present their personality. And nobody gives a shit about your personality. No one cares about your Sunny Chen. No one gives a crap about Sunny Chen, what she would do in this moment, or how she would do it. It's not like, or I would never do that, or I would do this. No one cares what Sunny Chen would do, maybe your parents, but nobody else does. We want to know what Frankie and Johnny, or Ophelia in Hamlet, or your character you're playing on Flash. My wife plays Nora Allen. They want to know what Nora Allen is doing. And people meet my wife all the time because they're like, oh my God, hi. They stop her in the streets and stuff. And they think she's Nora Allen, and she's like, that's not me, I'm Michelle Harrison. And they don't care what Michelle Harrison's doing at home. They want to know what Nora Allen's doing at home. So the humility becomes one of the greatest, most important aspects of acting. Ironically, are you finding the irony? Ironically, if you've given yourself over to the music, the world gets to see the real you. Because when you're focused on something other than yourself, your authenticity shows up. When you're focused on you, your personality comes into play and nobody gets to see the real you. So ironically, you feel like you know Brad Pitt. You're completely convinced that Jeremy Irons is a friend of yours. Do you know? Careful, name dropping. When I worked with Robin Williams, I did 3 movies with Robin Williams and I was his coach. And when you work with Robin Williams and you meet him, you're like, no, I know you. But it's because you know Robin Williams in a way better than Robin Williams knew himself. That leads to a tragic thing. But do you understand that? So when he's playing, we're back to looking at his fingers. Actually, I want to look at his fingers. When he's playing the music, he becomes exposed. But he's not doing anything more or less than playing the music. So now let's talk about what Yitzhak Perlman does for a living. He learns the notes. I have the Brahms Concerto played by Yehudi Menuhin. I have the Brahms Concerto played by Nigel Kennedy. I have like 5, 6 different versions of Brahms Concerto. I have the music at home because on a Friday night I pour myself a glass of Tempranillo. That's a Spanish red wine. And I'm like from a different century, I know. And I'll like read the music as I'm listening to the concerto because I just like it. It's like fun for me. Just my thing. I also like Gautier. That's not even new. Imagine Dragons. I love Imagine Dragons. Yeah. Trying to be recent.
Old Town Road.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet Boys, what? Although I have nothing but respect for Justin Timberlake. Was he in sync for Backstreet Boys? He's playing note for note the Brahms Concerto. He's not inventing any notes. He's not inventing the notes. He's playing the notes that the writer wrote for him. And that's his job. The dancer doesn't improv when they're in a chorus line. They'll kill the other dancers. You have to do the choreography that was given to you. Acting is not a creative art form. And this makes people extremely uncomfortable. Acting is not a creative art form. Acting is a performing art form. like music or dance. Now, when you're inventing choreography, when you're writing a scene, when you're composing music, you're a creative artist. But I'm not talking to that person, I'm talking to the actor. It's not your job to decide what the scene's about. And actors have this unbelievable arrogance based on their misunderstanding of script and inability to break down a script to decide things. Well, my choice is that he's Irish. My choice is that they're in love. And I'm like, it's Hamlet. What are you talking about? You know? And it's like you're going into your auditions and you've made a bunch of choices about the script because you're lazy. And actors are unbelievably lazy. And the reason why they're lazy is because laziness is the child of what? Anyone?
Lack of curiosity.
Oh yeah, that's good. Oh, that's good. Curiosity is what makes the actor. Also what makes the human being. And insecurity, that's correct.
Fear.
Yeah, laziness is the child of fear. I'm afraid. I'm afraid I don't know what I'm doing. I'm afraid I'm freaked out. So I get lazy. Like who's the person that you know that hides in their basement, you know, playing what's that one? What's the one that's yeah, what's that?
Fortnite?
Yeah, Fortnite. You hang your weight in your basement playing Fortnite and hiding and not really, you know, one day I'm gonna be an actor and I'll get past my Starbucks job and one day and they're like, you can see them like, yeah, so what classes are you in? Like what film are you creating? Or like what acting groups are you part of? What monologue slam did you just do? Are you like, have you put yourself, are you busking acting on the corner? That sounds funny, but you should do it. It'd be great. Go do like a Moonstruck, like on the corner of Robson and Denman. You'll get noticed. Like, are you in the Fringe? What are you doing as an actor? And they're like, well, one day. And I'm like, well, you're not. You're lazy. But I understand that because you're scared. Discipline is the child of what? Curiosity is very good, but discipline is the child of what? What's the opposite of fear?
Courage.
Yes, but there's actually, the counterpoint to fear is something else.
Love.
Desire.
Close, close, close?
Confidence. and
Yes, all of that is the child of what?
Happiness.
focus.
Go one step further.
Joy.
Thank you. Discipline is the child of joy. Joy is the mother of your desire to do stuff. And you show me Yitzhak Perlman, and I'll show you a person who's really disciplined, but he doesn't think he's disciplined. He just loves playing the fucking violin. He has a joy for it. So when I hear an actor go, I hate memorizing lines, I'm like, well then quit. Oh my God, I have an audition tomorrow. I'm like,
What?
you know, you're like, I don't want a stupid class. You're like, what is your problem? As an actor, you're living a joy of acting 24 hours a day, and it will drive you insane, but it's really important. The reason why fear and joy is coming up is because fear and joy are the two voices that impregnated you on your creation. When you were, some people think before you were, you know, the sperm hit the egg. If you're a Democrat, it's in the third trimester. But there's like a, when you come into being, it's actually so just so you know, it's actually in the mammalian part of your brain. There's three parts of your brain, right? The
Reptilian.
the reptilian, mammalian, and then the cerebral, which is the human, which is actually, if you understand, the doing, feeling, and thinking, which defines who you are as a human being. We'll get into the neuroscience. So when you were born, you were given two voices. One is fear. Oh my God, don't leave the cave! Like I'm gonna be eaten by a lion, you know? You're just like, okay, have you all read Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens? Wow, I'm on like 5 tangents now.
Yeah.
Who's read Sapiens? Put your hands up. Okay, good. You're not an actor if you haven't read Sapiens!
Oh.
Read that book right now! It's really important. Yuval Noah Harari. You can read his next book.
21 Lessons for the 21st.
No, that's his third book. His second book is
Homo Deus.
Homo Deus. That's a lot more depressing and a little scary, but it's very, very good. But Sapiens is an absolute must. It's an absolute must. Well, this is the art form of what?
Doing.
Yeah, no, of doing. That's 1/3 of acting. It's also the art form of being, and it's also the art form of thinking. So we'll get to that. But acting is the art form of life, and Sapiens is a book that explains why you are who you are. It's pretty important. It came out in what, 2015? And then it required reading for my classes is Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow, Flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. No books on acting. Until mine comes out, then you need to buy that one because I need a bigger boat. But the books that you should be reading are all about what? Psychology. Acting is the art form of life, right? It's the life art form. What's the science art form?
Psychology.
Yeah, so you are basically proto-psychologists. You are applied behavioral psychologists. All we do is talk psychology. Why would she do that? What's their relationship? What's their objective intention? What's their counterpoint? What's deep inside of them? What's the forestory? Where they're going to go? What's the backstory? What's caused them in this moment to react this way behaviorally? What's the emotional truth to it? What's the imagery that's piling through them? What's holding them back? What's the shame voice that's keeping them from overcoming their own fear and connecting to the other human being? It's all psychology. You're applied psychologists. If being alive, okay. Does being alive scare you? Of course. Is there anybody in this room comfortable with their lives? No. And then you're going to die uncomfortable. Life's uncomfortable. Like, it's really uncomfortable. I mean, if you live in Somalia or Hong Kong today or Zimbabwe, it's really uncomfortable. You guys are in the most comfortable place on the planet. Well done. But still, your asses are itchy and you're sweating and your ass crack and you kind of like your hemorrhoids are flaring and you're kind of hungry and your stomach is moving and your eyes are kind of twitchy and you're just like, oh shit, I gotta pay rent and my mom said this to me and my boyfriend is this and I feel this pressure and I'm a little anxious today and I haven't taken my pills for my anxiety and life is rough, man. It's scary. And it's also super beautiful. And to experience all of that is the only gift you got. Oh my gosh, I'm going off topic. The two voices in your head, it's only 5:30 and I've already gone to the meaning of life. Yitzhak, I'm coming back! What's the meaning of life?
42.
Yes. What is the meaning of life? I asked this, okay, so I'm talking to a bunch of students, a bunch of high school students. And I love talking to high school students because you can get them fresh. I'm like, hi, so you're all fucked up, don't listen to adults, you're really insecure. That's normal. And it's really, really good. Snifu, man. You know snafu? Situation normal, all fucked up. Snifu, situation normal, everybody's fucked up. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody. My director friend looks like he's got his shit together. He turns to me and he goes, oh my God, I'm blowing this episode. You know? The lead on the show, who I won't mention, who's like a big name, says, Matthew, can you go with me? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, my green meanies in my head are killing me today. I'm falling apart. I didn't deserve this part. What am I doing? I'm like, I should have gone into architecture, you know? Like, that's easier. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's thrown up. Everyone's nervous. Everybody's uncomfortable. It's just standard. That's part of being alive, you know? The meaning of life is to experience it. The meaning of life is to experience life.
That's like your bit bucket.
What's that?
That's like having your bit bucket, your bucket of things that you want to do. You should try and get a chance to do them if you can.
Sure. And when you can't, you have to experience that. And when you fall on your face, literally like my wife, or oh God, sorry about that. Or when you fall apart in an audition and like freak out. And anybody throw up in an audition? No. Or I have in Corey Mears' room, 1997. It was really good. It was really good. I was just like, you know that thing where the lights are like this and stuff? I was going, and then next thing you know, Corey Mears is like, Matthew, okay. And I went, yeah, and then ran out. That's insane. It's insane. Why do we do that to ourselves? No, I didn't get the part, but I got hired by Corey Mears. I was a reader for like 3 years. It's insane what we do to ourselves. Isn't that funny? And you can go home and go, I'm so messed up. There's something wrong with me. I need to go see a doctor. I'm so fucked up. I should be on pills. Oh my God. Or you can go, that was human. That was a human reaction. Because I'm full of shame and I don't feel like I deserve it and I feel like a little kid and you're not going to love me and I need your love and because I'm a mistake and because I don't belong and I don't have the self-worth because it's normal, I reacted that way. And you stop and instead of going, that was messed up, you go, that was awesome. I just experienced that. Life is about experiencing everything. A few people in the room have been through my retreat. I do a 5-day retreat on Bowen Island. We just passed it in August. And what we do is, it's insane. It's the most, let them talk to you about it. I have you from 8 a.m. Monday and you don't leave until 10 p.m. Friday. We do 12, 16, one 17-hour day. We strip apart all of your personality, pull out your authenticity, write a play based on the material that you shared in one night, and then rehearse it, perform it in front of 50 people, 40 people this year in one day. And you just go, oh my God, I can do it, you know, it's incredible. To experience life is what it's all about. And so we talk about shame and enjoying and loving your shame. So you're afraid, you have fear. The reason why you have fear is because you're a tiny little rodent who barely seconds ago evolutionarily got yourself into like Club Monaco and drive a Fiat and wear Tom Fords. But you're basically just this like little rodent running around under the feet of dinosaurs freaking out. And all of a sudden we took over and we're still freaking out. You know, the lion's not. The lion's like, what is that problem with that ape? We're freaked out because we evolutionarily are way, way, way ahead of where we're supposed to be. Because this is Homo sapiens, because in 70,000 BC we evolved something that other animals don't, which is, no, the thumbs is, you can have all the opposable thumbs you like, that's still, like you're holding your stick with your opposable thumb while 3 lions come at you. Good luck with your thumbs. No, we created, you ready for this? We evolved a thing called gossip. So in 69,000 BC, we had a cognitive revolution in which we created a thing called narrative. We believe shit. Animals don't believe things. And that's the difference between a human being and an animal. My dog walks out and goes, sunshine, food, oh look, deer, run. I walk out and go, it's sunny, that's good. It means I'm gonna do my good in my audition today. God must be watching me. I feel strong, I am good. My name is Matthew. Like animals don't believe in narrative, we believe in narrative. So we've invented all these stories. I'm a Canadian, I'm a guy, I'm an actor, you know, a man should, you know, today, we just create narratives. And the 2019 narrative's fascinating. I love it. The world, the Me Too world, and the world of like opening up gender into sort of a, what's the word that my transgender friends say? It's not a
Non-binary.
It's not, yeah, it's non-binary, fluid.
Spectrum.
Fluid gender spectrum, you know? And I'm like, as a guy who's 50 who grew up in a man, it's gotta be like Tom Selleck. I'm like, okay, teach me this narrative. And I have to learn it to understand it, you know? But it's all narrative. We live in story. Which is why, by the way, the #1 art form on the planet is movies and TV, obviously. Because we're dying for story, because we're trying to understand each other and ourselves. How the hell did I get onto that? Yeah, so if you, 70,000 years ago, we were basically, there was like 500,000 of us walking around the planet hiding in trees trying not to get eaten. And then all of a sudden we were able to go, wait, you're a valley person, I'm a valley person, a valley girl. I'm a valley person, you're a valley, I'm a tree person, are you a tree person? Let's band together. Our tree people will attack those valley people. And then we could band in larger and larger groups. Basically, if you take one person and drop that person on an island, deserted island, and drop a chimpanzee on the island, the chimpanzee will live forever, it's fine. The person's dead within 3 weeks. Like, where's my coffee? I get my Starbucks. I'm like, oh my God, I'm starving. I was like, I'm gonna die, and they die. But if you drop 1,000 people and 1,000 chimpanzees on an island, the 1,000 people will eradicate the chimpanzees in like 3 weeks. Because we work together, because we're gonna go, the chimpanzees are evil. You know, we must destroy the chimpanzee. So we believe in narrative, that's why we took over the planet. But we took over the planet in a time, evolutionary time scale, which is not appropriate. The lion took like 300 million years to get to the top. We were like, wee, 70,000 years, we're in charge. So the fools are running the prison, right? Wait, that was a mixed metaphor. What's that metaphor? The fools are running the asylum. That was it. Like the prisoners are running the asylum. We're insane. I mean, the inmates are running the asylum. That's it. The inmates are running the prison. Doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying. And you know, it's scary when you're 10. Your parents tell you, one day you'll be an adult, and the adults know what we're doing. And then one day you're like 22 going, oh no! Nobody knows what they're doing! Like nobody knows what they're doing. Barack Obama, he kind of knew what he was doing, but nobody else knows what they're doing. And you're like, oh my God, this is insane. This planet's being run by a bunch of children who are like just feeling a bunch of things. So you are embedded with fear, and your fear is very potent in you. And the fear is there for one extremely important reason, because you don't want to die. You've been programmed to pass on your genetics. So you like, don't die. So the fear voice is like, oh, now I'm off camera. Camera, I'm in the corner. The fear voice is like keeping you going, I don't want to go out of the cave. I don't want to go to the cave. I want to go to the cave. I'm going to get eaten by a lion. I'll die if I leave the cave. I'm going to stay in the cave. Which is the voice that's saying like, I'm gonna stay at home. I'm gonna play video games. It's okay. I'm just gonna watch porn. I'm gonna watch movies. I'm okay. You know, it's the voice like, don't go out, don't go out, don't go out. You know. So the fear voice is freaking you out. You're going, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't do this. Which is why, like, you know, when you were like 18, you're like, I can't go up to the girl. Like, I gotta go up to the girl and talk to her. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. You know. Or like, my son went to summer camp and had a meltdown because he was so homesick. He was freaking out. The fear voice was very powerful in him. You know. And instead of like, you have a problem, you're like, no, it's normal. You're a rodent who's taken over the planet. You don't know what you're doing. You're terrified. So that's your fear voice. And your fear is what causes you to be lazy. See, I got back to... The other voice that was impregnated in you at the exact same time was your joy voice. And your... Oh, I'm an actor. I think I find my lens. Your joy voice is a voice that is saying the exact opposite. Your joy voice is saying, get out of the cave, go live, experience it, love it, do stuff. Because the joy voice is also there to keep you from dying, because the joy voice is what makes you go, I love being alive. I'm gonna go find some fruit on a tree to eat. Or we'll take down the buffalo or the large tofu. We'll take down the tofurkey in order to live, to survive. So the joy voice is saying you're alive, and the fear voice is going, be afraid. Do you understand? And your joy voice is going, you're alive, this is awesome. And the fear voice is going, hide, you suck. And the two voices are going on all the time. You're like, I'm gonna do it, and you're not. I'm gonna go outside and stay home. And that's why people are like crazy. And that's why everyone's drinking and passing out and watching bad television and making stupid mistakes, is because these voices are going all the time. Your joy voice is the voice that the joy voice is the voice that you have to override if you commit suicide. The reason why you go to hurt yourself and then you can't and you stop is because the joy voice is going, no, we're alive. Joy is not happiness. Joy is an existential, what's the word I want? An ecstasy. It's not happy, it's alive. So the joy voice rings in your head in your darkest moments. You're a very healthy person. And you guys are actors, so you actually have this incredible tool, which is in your darkest moment. Your boyfriend broke up with you. You're like, you literally just flipped your car over and almost killed your child, which I did. I have a student who was stabbed when she opened up her door. It was knocked in the West End here, was stabbed 3 times. And her roommate was killed, and she had to hold the door closed. And she said, while she was holding herself bleeding, she was crying, freaking out, and she said, oh my God, this is gonna be so good for my acting. Yeah. When I flipped my car and I thought my son was gonna die, I thought, oh my God, this will be good for my students to tell them this story. And you go, so if you tell that to somebody who's a non-actor, a civilian, you know, and you say, while I was hanging onto the pipe, screaming because I just buried my mother, something in me thought, I can use this in class. They go, that's crazy, and you go, no, that's not crazy. That's being alive. That's what joy is. Joy is that in every moment you experience it. Right, in ancient Aramaic, do you know what that is? In the language of Jesus Christ. I'm not, that's what, isn't that what they spoke?
Hebrew?
Yeah, no, it was Aramaic, it wasn't Hebrew. I'm not preaching to you guys, so don't get freaked out. Whatever gets you through is great. But just so you know, in ancient Aramaic, joy, pain, is pronounced passion.
I didn't know that.
And the passion of this Jesus of Nazareth, however you take him, the historical would be that whether or not he was whoever he was, while he was going through this insane pain of being cut in the thing, and you understand that a crucifixion is actually a suicide, it's a forced suicide. You have to hold yourself like this because of the gravity. And at a certain point, you're so tired, you go, fuck it, and you asphyxiate yourself. So it's a forced suicide, it's horrible. While he's going through that pain, he's living out this rapture because he's fulfilling his Father's destiny for him, you know? And that's why it's passion, that's why where the word comes from. But it's this joy and complete pain. So you are walking passion. You are joy and fear. Those are the two voices that are inside of your head. And we translate the fear into shame, and we translate the joy into love. And you're constantly caught between this, like, oh my God, I'm so afraid I just want to die, and oh my God, I'm so alive, I just want to live. And then people watch television, like, I'm no kidding, Riverdale, or Hunky Christmas, or whatever's on Hallmark right now. Merry, M-A-R-Y, Christmas. And they watch this stuff because they don't have the wherewithal, or they don't have the tools, or they don't have the environment, or they don't have the circumstances to live that way. Because, you know, suburban America being enslaving. And so at 2 in the morning, this, you know, insomniac house single mom is while her kids are sleeping, is watching like the Hallmark Channel. And she weeps because they fell in love, and she has joy, and she feels fear, and she's alive. And that's called empathy. And so just so you all know, you're actors, which means that you are in the business of empathy. You are creating empathy. You have to have an unbelievable amount of empathy for yourself, when most people don't. Most people are in a place of self-conflict. You feel small and stupid, and you have no self-worth, and you were the oops baby, or your parents put too much pressure on you, or your parents loved you so much that you feel like you could never rise up to their expectations, or your dad was an alcoholic, or your mom was an alcoholic, or all these things we hear in acting class. And that's translated into something that makes you go, oh, I hate myself, I'm not worthy, you know? The first thing you gotta do is go, it's okay to be honest. It's okay. Do you know, I have a lozenge in my pocket.
I'm sorry.
Would you like a lozenge?
Yeah, thanks a million.
It's kind of weird. There's no lint on it. There you go.
It should be fun.
Yeah, it's good, yeah.
Had to blow the lid off.
It has a little bit of like, whoever touched this, but that's fine. So the first thing is to have empathy with yourself. The second thing is then to have empathy for the character that you're playing and the writer. And go, I need to empathize with this writer. What was the writer trying to say? And then the last thing and the most important thing is to have empathy with your audience, because your audience is what you're doing it for. You know, some actors think they're doing it for themselves. I'm like, oh, get over yourselves. Humility. Passion, humility. PhD. What does the D stand for? Hey, very good. An actor needs PhD. So you have to, when somebody goes, are you educated? You go, are you kidding? I have PhD. For the odd, I have a PhD. I'm a doctor in empathy. Passion, humility, and discipline. An actor has to have an unbelievable amount of passion. You have to have an outrageous amount of humility. Because if you have the arrogance and the ego or the insecurity to make it about you, you're going to collapse. And then you have to have an outrageous amount of discipline. Do you understand? It's a big thing that we do. It's a privilege what we do. But you are life livers. Not liver like, you know, you're life livers. You're the spleen of existence.
Oh,
Your job is to go live at the forefront. Your job is to live at the very extremes of the borders of your existence. Because most people are caught inside of the fortress of themselves. That's a damn good metaphor. You need to be out on the very battlefront of who you are. And it sucks sometimes. Like, it really sucks. It's hard. It's hard to, like, take responsibility. It's hard to drop your expectations. It's hard, like, to have to rage sometimes and break down. It's hard to deal with the shit that you went through as a child. It's hard to face the prejudice against you. And it's hard to learn to love being. Don't love being yourself, but love being. It's hard to go, fuck it, I'm poetic, you know? Like, you know, I am who I am. You gotta be who you are. I really like feminist historical fiction. It's weird, I know. But I like nothing more. There's like 50 million movies I gotta watch because I'm an acting teacher. And I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this movie. And these students tell me I gotta watch this TV show. And instead I read, oh my God, Hilary Mantel, what's her name? Priscilla? The one I'm reading right now, it's like The White Queen. It's like these trash feminist novels about his.
Those are so good.
They're so good! I'm on the Red Queen, the White Queen, and
Philippa
Gregory, yeah. Oh my God. So that's who I am, okay? I like chick flicks. I like to think I'm a manly man. I drive a Fiat and a scooter, and my favorite movie is Sense and Sensibility. That's fine. I also like Marvel movies. You gotta just be who you are, you know? And you gotta be okay with being. The frontiers of your existence. Don't hide in the shadows of who you could be. And if you want to, if you can't, if you don't have the humility and the discipline or the passion to do so, I don't judge that. The majority of people can't. That's why the majority of people are living in, like, I don't mean to trash suburbia, some of you are probably there, but they live in mall land and they hide behind their texts and they choose any one of the plethora of addictions that are out there for you to escape it. You know, you numb yourself because you're terrified of getting out on that frontier. And if that's don't judge your parents or your friends or whoever's doing that, because that's what they do. And that's their way of surviving, and it's kind of sad. I wish they were living their experience, because you only have one life.
But if they were, then we wouldn't have a job.
Yeah, I guess. That's right. If we're all happy, there'd be no movies. I'm just waving to some random stranger. But if you're an actor, then, you know, it's my job to say, fuck you, get off your ass and get into the world. Get ugly and get dirty and get excited by it. Fall down on your face, literally and metaphorically. Climb the mountain and jump off it and dig in. Like, just stick your face forward and go for it. And it's gonna hurt and it's gonna suck and it's gonna be beautiful and you're gonna fall in love with life and it's wonderful. And you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for audience. So you're serving something greater than you. And there is no greater way to find joy and happiness than to stop living for yourself and instead live for others. That is the key to existence. Anybody been through the 12-step program?
Oh.
That was very courageous of you.
No. I thought
That's
you meant
fine.
like the 12 acting steps.
Oh no. The 12 step of AA or SAA or NA or any of those is CA, Al-Anon, yeah, and SLAA, Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, and the number one. You know, it's very important. That's a very important thing in our society. The number 12 step is. None of the first 11 steps will work unless you go do it for someone else. It has to be for someone else. And when somebody when suddenly you become a parent and you're living for your child, when you're living for your employees, when you're living for your audience, when you're living for something greater than you, maybe, whatever it is, how you see it, then you find a place of joy because it's no longer about your ego, not about your self-service. There are people who are very successful in our industry who are extremely narcissistic, but they're not finding happiness. Now, you have the passion to go live your life fully so that other people can live fully through you. That's what you do. You have the humility to say, it's not about me, it's about something greater than me. So you have the humility to go, I gotta learn this story, I gotta figure out this character, I gotta understand this writer, I gotta figure out, I have to make my partner amazing. Like in an audition, when you go to an audition, what's your job? In an audition, what's your job? You have one job only. What is it? Good luck answering this. I'd love to hear you guys answer.
You do a part, not book the part.
Yeah, neither of those are really, but yes, it's not about booking the part.
It's serving
So
the
you're all-
story, right?
Yes, you serve the story by how? By doing
By
what?
being your authentic self.
How? By doing what? Yes, those are all true. By doing what?
By being yourself in other given circumstances.
Yes, but why? Oh, hello, Meisner. But hello, but why? We're going to talk about Meisner. Don't worry. By why? For what reason? To how?
Connecting with partner.
Yeah. What's your name?
Sky.
Sky. Oh, Sky. Who's the partner in the audition room?
Your reader.
Your reader. What's your job in an audition? Anybody?
Oh, to get the reader the job, right?
To make the reader fucking unbelievable. That's your job. Anything else is about you. And if it's about you, you're clearly not character. It's like Perlman's not there to be awesome, right? He's there to make the audience understand Brahms. That's his job. As soon as you go into an audition to try to get a job, impress somebody, freak out Corey Mayers, own the room! I'm gonna go and own the room. That's the dumbest fucking thing I've heard in my life. Own the room. You don't own the room. Candace Helsinki doesn't even own the room. She rents it from the building. You don't own the room. What an arrogant dick you are. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna beat everybody. Like it's a competition. Can we pause for 1 second? Acting is not a competition. For God's sakes, grow up. Sunny Chen is the only Sunny Chen there is. There's probably other names Sunny Chen, but you're the only Sunny Chen who's this Sunny Chen. Sunny, you're Sunny Chen's friend?
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. What's your name?
Tamara.
Tamara and Sunny are like dark-haired, about the same age, sit identically, have an interesting smile. They're very much alike. They would go into the audition with each other, right? They go up against each other is what we call it, but you don't. You're going up with people. And then what would happen is there's something, if you do the job correctly, which is I know the notes of the music of the scene, I know the character, I know the moments, and I'm going to affect the shit of the reader, and something's going to happen to me, and I'm going to surrender, I'm going to explain all this in a second, and I'm going to flow, and I'm going to find the flow of the character, and I'm going to disappear, and something beautiful is going to happen. Then what makes Sunny Chen is different than what makes Tamara Tamara. And then we're going to go, that's what we were looking for. Or we're going to go, oh no, that's what we were looking for. If everybody does their job, then they can make sure that they get the appropriate person for the part. Auditioning is not a contest. And if you turn it into a seeking validation that you know what you're doing, I'm like, fuck off and go back to Starbucks. Because if you don't know what you're doing, why the... I don't know why I'm not swearing now. That's weird. Why? There's nobody under 18 in the room. I already said zygote and sperm. Oh, are you cringing? Oh no, you're like 15. There goes my career. if you don't know how to do your job, if you're not off book, clearly understanding the character, working realization to realization, moment to moment, action to action, understanding your objective, understanding the whole concept of point and counterpoint, knowing there's two conversations in every scene, and surrendering to your character so that something can flow through you. So like it's like Perlman, things happen that you're not even aware of, which are called accidents, which then casting directors go, that was a nice choice. And you're like, great. But if we want to use the word choice, listen, Candace Elzinga, a friend of mine, Candace Elzinga goes, listen, the choice you made, that's actually not the correct choice. What you should have chosen was this. If somebody says, that's not the correct choice, you should have chosen this, how in any way possible is that a choice? There's clearly no choice. You should have done it right. And I hate to be that guy. I love being that guy. 99% of the actors, well, I'm exaggerating, but there is one right way to do the scene, and then there's an infinite number of wrong ways to do the scene. And the casting director, the director, the producer want 10 people who are doing the scene right. They don't want to see your decision that, she's limp or has a lisp, or maybe she's actually in love, or I think it's a scene about a restaurateur. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? Do the script right. Like, you don't want this, and I've seen it, where the casting director on set goes, what the fuck is that actor doing? Do they not know how to read script? There's only one right way to do it. However, through this instrument, it's going to sound and look different than through that instrument. Just like Yitzhak Perlman plays the Brahms correct, and I go, that's Yitzhak Perlman. But if you play Nigel Kennedy, I go, that's not Yitzhak Perlman, that's Nigel Kennedy. Even though they're doing it both right. So there's one way to do Hamlet, but there's an infinite number of Hamlets based on people doing it right. But if you decide to do Hamlet, Hamlet's not suicidal, and he's not a teenager, you're like, you're doing it wrong. Because that's not what Shakespeare wrote. I've decided that To Be or Not to Be is actually a jazz tempo thing, where I actually love like, to be. And you're like, what are you doing? Stop. If you want to write something, then go ahead, you can make your choices, but you're not the writer, you're an actor. You understand that? How'd I get on this auditioning thing? Yes, it's not a competition. I'll email you the thing and all that. It's not a competition. So when you go to your auditions, and who is in my age group? You ever go to auditions and it's like everyone's being nasty to each other? They're like putting each other down. They're like, oops, look, oh, my resume. Or, oh, is the director in there? I love Gary. When I was a reader for Corey Mayers, right? This actress auditions for the director, and the audition was, she was kind of self-important and sort of fell apart a little bit and whatever. And the director's like, well, thank you. And she goes, oh, thank you so much, John, thank you. And as she walks to the door, she opens the door and she goes, bye, John, that was great. And then walks out behind her. She walks into the lobby and she goes, he's so great. And I'm like, what a fucking asshole you are, trying to throw other people off. I bring actors to I always go to an audition with a buddy. Like, I don't know why people go to auditions alone. I think that's crazy. If you go to an audition alone, you're just gonna cave in. I always bring somebody so I can talk and run it and stay out, and my students love it because then they all get to go hang out in auditions. But bring a buddy. It drives the casting directors nuts, but do it. Bring a buddy. I never go to an audition alone, because if I'm alone, I'm with who? Me. Has anybody been inside my head? It's not good. It's like really not good. So I get out of my head by bringing somebody, But wait a second. The other thing. Yeah, when students go with me to my auditions, they're blown away, because all the actors that I go up with are all Lachlan Monroe and John Emmett Tracy and Kurt Evans, and I can name them Paul McGillian and Michael Shanks, and like I've worked really hard to get myself into that level, and it's an honor. Like to walk into an audition and go, oh my God, like Skeet Ulrich is here. What a freaking honor! Like how cool is it that like Michael Shanks is here? We all know each other and stuff. The actor that comes with me, the buddy, they freak out because we all help each other out. We're like, I'll run your lines. And then I run the lines with John Emmett Tracy, and I go, John, can I give you some advice? He's like, yeah. And I go, that second beat, actually, it's this. Did you know that I actually did some research on Snowpiercer? And he goes, oh, God, thanks a lot, man. I'm like, yeah. And we work out the moment together. And we're both going in doing the exact same audition. But if they want John Emmett Tracy, they don't want Matthew, it's going to look completely different. It's going to feel completely different. The dialogue's going to come out differently, because I'm a different human being than John Emmett Tracy. But we're doing it both the same. And that's the paradox of acting. The paradox of acting is there's one way to do it. And if you really do it, not you, not the you, but the you, if you really surrender to it, then it's going to look and sound completely different than the next person and still be right. Because the whole point of acting, if you're going to take anything, take this. The whole point of acting is to create the orchestrated accident. Acting has to be the architected spontaneity. All acting is true. Acting is the constructed surprise. But it has to be an actual surprise. It has to be actually spontaneous. It has to be actually completely brand new. You can't know your choice before it chooses you. The choices choose you, not the other way around.
Courage.
Yeah, the definition of courage. Courage, cœur. Anybody speak French? The word cœur means heart. It comes from the Latin cor. Cor means your heart. Courage is defined as to speak your truth. The scariest thing and most courageous act in the world is to show who you really are. And that's what she just did. This is me. It's really difficult to do. And that's courage. Now,
Same as surrender?
and that was that?
Is it the same as surrender?
Courage is the same as surrender.
I'm asking if it is.
Then you have the ability to surrender. That's what the courage.
Speak your truth
The courage
is
is to.
surrendering?
That's what allows you to surrender. Yes. Oh, I found one too. Right, and back to this conversation you and I are having. She just walked in there, opened her heart, and started singing some song. What allowed her to push through her courage and get to her courage and allowed her to push through so she could surrender to it? And by surrendering to it, the song takes her over. The song takes her over. She wasn't there, she was the song. And then because of that, we see this woman, who she really is. And she went boom, and her truth showed up. And the song is called This Is Me, and she's really showing who she is. What allowed her to get there? Hugh Jackman holding her hand? Sure, but what allowed her to get there? Hugh Jackman holds my hand, I would just kind of like go, what?
Make yourself vulnerable.
But she was already vulnerable. What allowed her to push through that vulnerability in order to be there?
The discipline.
The discipline to what?
To do it for the project, not for herself.
She was doing it for the project, not for herself. That's why she got the courage, yes. And what was, and the discipline of what? Knowledge. What was her knowledge?
Sharing it with everybody else.
Sharing it with everybody for the project. But what was the knowledge that she had? That's what allowed her to do it.
She knew she could.
She knew the fucking song! Like, she knew the song! Yeah, no, I'm not being funny. Like, she knew, she's clearly an extremely trained singer. So she's got the craft. And she knew the song. So she got up and she went. If she had, like, kind of not really memorized the second act because she's sort of hoping that something interesting will happen and she hasn't made her choice yet, that she would have fallen apart.
But you can see where she found it.
Where?
When she started off, she was very trepidatious.
Oh, yeah.
But then all of a sudden, there was a little spot there where she picked it up.
Yeah, she goes, I know this.
and
I know
away
this
she went.
song.
And
I know
away
it.
she went, yeah.
Again, though, wasn't that part of the act? Like to be in that state at the beginning of the song and then break.
She really was in that state, though.
Right.
She actually was having a panic attack.
Yeah.
No, in the film, she doesn't start in that state.
Oh.
In the film, she's pissed off because he hasn't allowed his troupe in on the hoity-toity rich person's at the opera house. He's shut them out because he's ashamed of them, and she's unbelievably irate. And the song starts with her like fucking pissed off. This one started off with her like broken and weak. So it's actually her emotions kind of took over. But the point is that she knew the notes, she knew the words, she had practiced it over and over and over, and then she was able to start giving. I'm going to tell you why I love that guy who's in the back. The guy who's like, is because if you pay close attention, it was somebody in our retreat that pointed out. I was like, oh yeah, that guy, whoever he is, sensed that she was having a hard time. And he went, come on, we got it! And she fed off that, and when she turns back, she's like, boom! She was on. That guy helped her, and Hugh Jackman helped her. That's what you're supposed to do for your reader or your fellow actor. You don't ever have to be good. Suck, it's fine. Don't be good. Don't be a good actor. Stop trying to be a good actor. Make the other people brilliant. Your job is to make the person who's off camera unbelievable. And if you do that, then your work may or may not be good. That's not any of your business.
I have a question. Where does imposter syndrome fall? Like, is it?
Oh, 100%. Imposter syndrome falls in what's called being a Homo sapien. Imposter syndrome is endemic is a genetic endemic aspect of being a human being. Everyone feels like a fraud. Some people, and what convinces you that you're not a fraud is because you've done so much work that you just can't possibly allow it to be true. I'm going to show you. I'm going to do it right now. I need you. Can I use you? I'm going to use you for a couple times. Come over here. Yeah, Mike. Oh, dude, you could have done too. No, Michael's gonna stand there, right? Okay, good. The job of acting, you're gonna catch me. The job of acting is to fall into the arms of the scene. Yeah, right? That's the job of acting, and let the character take you over. But I'm terrified, and I'm a fraud. I'm small. I don't know. Who am I? I walk into. Listen. At 4:45, I went downstairs to my car to get some lozenges, and like was like, oh my God, relax. Like, you know what you're talking about. I've been teaching for 22 years. I've given this lecture like 50 times. I've written a book. There's a 12-hour documentary. There's been 2 documentaries on me. Like, I know what I'm doing. My actors are like killing all around the world. You watch TV, you're probably one of my actors. Like, and I still go, why do I have the right to say anything to these people? What do I know? I'm just this little fucking kid from Montreal who got into acting in his 20s after he was in politics, you know? I suffer from outrageous fraud, imposter syndrome. Unbelievable. I feel like I'm a fraud all the time. You guys listen to Alec Baldwin's podcast, Here's the Thing? Mm-hmm. Every single person at some point, he gets every person to confess it. Julianne Moore is like, this is the film where they're gonna realize I don't know what I'm doing. Everybody feels that way. Meryl Streep freaks out and calls Cherry Jones going, this is the one where they're gonna realize I don't know what I'm doing. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, so he's the scene, and I'm like, no way. There's no way I'm gonna go into that. So Neela, come here. So what I gotta do is I gotta do homework, preparation, to understand the scene. I gotta make sure I understand the scene. Now push against me, not too hard. Yeah. So I've done some homework, but there's still no way I'm going into the arms of the scene. I'd rather just hide in my basement. So you come here. Get behind Neil. So I understand my objective and my intentions, I understand my realizations and decisions, I break down the 3-act structure, and I'm doing my point and my counterpoint, and now push on her, and she pushes on me. And now there's more pressure, and I go, I'm still not going, because I hate Matthew, and Matthew doesn't know what he's doing, and I'm a joke. So, come on. So then I make sure I do my emotional preparation, and I understand that I've been working my scene. I have no fucking gap in my knowledge. Now you push against her, push against her, push against her. And at some point, go ahead, push. And it gets more and more and more and more and more. Now, come on, Dale. You knock Christina over. I do so much homework, Captain. I do so much homework that eventually I go, I'm not gonna do it. And then all my homework makes me go into the scene. You understand? Confidence is a matter of giving yourself no possibility of taking the out, which is what you want to do. Everybody wants to check out. Everybody wants to fail. People come to my class and they're like, I'm so afraid of failure. I'm like, yeah, right. You love failure! You were 5 minutes late, you didn't do your homework, you're like, I know about my Starbucks job, you're like, I know my agent, it's my agent, I'm the kid thing. All you do is create reasons to fail. You love failing. Failing's great, because then you can hang in your basement and play video games and watch porn and watch some stupid reruns and not do your job and break up with your girlfriends and boyfriends and hate yourself and then die. Failing's awesome, it feels so natural because you got that voice in you, so you suck, you're like, oh no. Success is brutal, because then you have to go, geez, maybe I earned that. Ooh. And then you have to like learn to actually appreciate and respect yourself. People are afraid of success, they're not afraid of failure. You love failure. And everybody's looking to fail, everybody. So what you gotta do is you gotta give yourself a 0 way out. You gotta close the gaps, there's no way you can fail. I was on, doesn't matter. I was the lead on a Hallmark movie, which happened to be the lead on the show was Lori Loughlin, who, you know, went to jail or got arrested. So that was awkward. I was actually in the shower going to set when I heard on NPR, Lori Loughlin arrested. I'm like, huh? And that was the end of that show. So I wrote a new TV series for my character and another character on the show as a lark. And then I showed it to some people, and I got a phone call from the vice president of Hallmark. This is the week before the retreat. And we're developing me to be an executive producer and all this kind of stuff. And so I had this phone conversation with her. And I know that I'm gonna go, I'm 50 years old, right? I'm probably older than the woman I'm talking to. And I'm gonna go, yeah, you're important and I'm not. I'm sorry, I don't know anything, I apologize. And I'm gonna die, I'll fall apart. And say, I get choked, and that's kind of my person. So what I did was, for 3 days, I knew the phone call was coming at 10 o'clock that morning. For 3 days, my wife and I came up with different possibilities of different scenarios. I watched, not watched every, but I watched clips from every single Hallmark TV series. I wrote them all out, and I wrote out each situation, possible situation. I reread my script. I wrote character bios for my characters. I wrote pitches as to who should play it. I spent 3 days preparing for this 10-minute film meeting. And then I put all the papers out on the desk, and then I waited, and then ring, ring, I'm like, hey, Elizabeth, hey. And then had this fantastically confident, relaxed conversation. And at one point she goes, yeah, we don't like that premise. Do you have any others? And I went, yeah, what I was thinking was pitch, 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 talk, 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 read some stuff, da-da-da, had all my notes, sometimes didn't look at the notes, hung the phone up, and was like, that was a really good meeting. And why? Because I didn't give the little child in me that wants to hang himself any room. I left the little nasty bully inside of me at the kiddie table and said, I have to go to the adult table, I'll be back later. I stole that from Michael J. Fox. Do you understand that? But you have to love it. Oh God. You have to love that part of you. You have to give it, okay. The shame voice that's saying, anybody want to throw those out? What's your shame voice saying? Nobody notices you. You know,
you're invisible.
You're invisible. You're a fucking mistake. You're average. No one gives a shit what you say. How dare you think that you deserve something bigger than that?
Ooh, dang.
Yeah? You're just like your mother. Or you're not enough like your mother. Which is, you know, my son's growing up with, like, you know, me as my dad, as a dad. He's got an awesome dad, like, but his mother's magnificent. My wife is, you know, she's that tall and redhead, and she's brilliant, fat. Like, that's a lot to live up to, you know? You're never going to be your mother. Like, that'll be in him.
And
What?
who do you think you are?
Yeah, who do you think you are? Yeah. I know who I am. I'm a 14-year-old terrified child with a schizophrenic mom. The voice in your head is saying something, and it's loud, and it's screaming all the time, which is why when you're in your 20s, you're so tired at the end of the day. My 20-year-old, I'm like, you're fucking yawning? I teach like 30 hours a week. I run an online company. I'm a full-time actor. I'm a parent. I live on an island, and I got to commute every day, and you're yawning in my class, and you're 22 years old. Like, and I know why, because all day long you're fighting yourself! No, you son of a fucker! And you come into class going, hey man, I've done my homework! And you're doing that all day long, yeah? And the difference between that and once you kind of got used to it is that at my age, I just go, okay, yeah. It's okay. Actually, how it works is, Sam, come here. Like, loud. You're gonna be good at this. Attack me, say nobody fucking notices you because you're the child of a schizophrenic and you're fucking full of shit and no one cares. All you want is people to like you. Something like that. Go ahead.
No one fucking notices you.
And I'm like, hi.
You're the guy with the schizophrenic mom, and
My
you're
name's
fucking
Matthew.
you're an imposter.
And I just
you don't know fucking shit, Matthew.
That's what's go ahead. That's exactly what's happening. All of you, all the time. And so what you do naturally is this. Do it again.
You don't know fucking shit, Matthew.
Shut up!
You don't know anything. What are you doing when you're teaching this?
You understand that? The more you yell at somebody, the louder they get, right? Just do the yes/no thing. You say no, I'll say yes. Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
No. That's what people do. They escalate, right? It's crescendo. So the more you fight, the louder it gets. So what's the answer? I come into the seminar. I'm going to teach the seminar. He does that thing. Go ahead.
No.
No, yell at me the whole shit.
Oh, okay.
All my shame shit. Go ahead. And I go, hey guys.
You're a fucking idiot.
I know.
Oh, thank
And I go, I know, and thank you, because that's what makes me human. No, I know. And now try to say, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah, I know. And then I go, hang on a second, okay? Hang on a second. Hi guys, I'd like to invite you to my web seminar. And that's how you do it. And then when the class is over, I then go, okay guys, nice to know you. And I go, all right, what were you saying? That's what it means to be a human being. But to fight those voices is insane. And that's why you end up anesthetizing yourself with, you know, pot and booze and video games or whatever. Right. So it's the knowledge that pushes you through that allows you, permits you to surrender to your courage so you can then become something that they need. Yitzhak Perlman's very, like, look at him. He's a very nervous, insecure guy. But boy, he knows how to play the violin. Like, he knows that he knows how to play the violin. And he loves Brahms. And like, what was your name? It was like Kaczynski. Skavinsky. That's fabulous. You sound like an artist. It does, like a $1 million Skavinsky sold today at auction. Like you were saying, it's like Perlman's not doing it to prove anything, because he can't. Because if you're a fraud and you hate yourself and you have all this stuff in your head, you're never going to disprove that. It's true. What I made you Sam yell at me is true. But I just go, yeah, thanks. Now I got other things to do. That's how you get through. Yeah, for other people. So the knowledge is what gets you there. Now we're going to talk about the knowledge. Most actors don't know what acting is and how to approach it. And I'm going to get a little offensive a little bit. Let's talk about Sanford Meisner. Awkward. Okay, this is going to get really awkward, and if I offend you, I've done my job. Stella Adler's dead, and she was wrong about 70%, 80% of what she said was wrong, and she was an asshole. She's a genius, and she changed the world, and we stand on her shoulders. And her methodology was fabulous for 1952. Sanford Meisner, I went to the Meisner School. We were the last year with Meisner. It was like they wheeled him on a wheelchair, like, yeah! And they died, and we were like, okay. He died, and we were like, oh, God. Sanford Meisner was an unbelievable asshole. And Lee Strasberg apparently was not an asshole, but they were a generation of assholes because they were a generation of narcissists, because they were a generation, God bless them, who had to survive and grew up between 2 world wars. Their point of view of humanity was very, very strict. They also relied on one psychologist, Freud, with a little bit of Jungian dream analysis thrown in there. And so they believed in fear and greed and pain and conflict. But in 2019, man, you guys have read your Brené Brown? If you haven't read Brené Brown, you're not an actor. At least listen, you're actors, maybe you don't read. They have this thing called YouTube, Y-O-U-T-U-B-E, and on it they have this thing called TED Talks, T-E-D. Watch the TED Talk, you'll be the smartest person you know. Watch Brené Brown, study Brené Brown. Actually, Brené Brown has her documentary on Netflix now, but you must read Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. Because it's about your shame is beautiful. Everything I'm just teaching you is the parallel to what Brené Brown's teaching. They didn't have Brené Brown, they didn't have Daniel Kahneman, they didn't know, I'll throw some things at you and then I'll teach it later, or I'm going to give you access to my videos, you can see in the videos. There's no such thing as your memory, you have no memory, and people need to grow up, because memory doesn't exist. You're imagining what happened in the past through images that are in your head, so you're recreating something in your head that's in the present. So everybody think about your schoolyard when you were a kid. Some of you are maybe still there, but think about your schoolyard, your elementary schoolyard, like imagine it. That's not what it looked like, that's what you need it to look like now, based on the images in your head. If we went like this and brought you back, you'd be like, oh God, the wall's there, the walls are green. Oh my God, everything's so much smaller than I thought it was, you know. And we'll go through that, but there's no such thing as memory. It's actually a conglomeration of stored imagery. You get 600,000 images of import seared inside of your, the mammalian part of your brain. It's kind of in the back of the cerebral cortex. And there are images that are stuck there. And then you reconfigure those images, and then you go, oh, memory. That's why you can't get witnesses to say the same, describe the events at the same time, because they're reimagining it through their narrative and how they need to see it. You understand? Because everybody's living in a narrative. The next thing is there's no such thing as imagination, because you can't imagine anything that you haven't actually experienced as an image, which means memory and imagination are the same thing, which means you're completely open to creating possible imagery in your head, which means as an actor, man, the sky's the limit. You can emotionally prepare anything, because you don't have to have actually lived through something to understand it. And you don't have to like reach too far into your imagination to create something that means something to you. There's a whole pile of videos where I explain that whole thing. Okay, but that's very important. But that's not something that Stella Adler knew, or Sanford Meisner. So Meisner's like, get out, feel it. And you're like, you come back, you're not feeling it, you suck. That was Sanford Meisner, and you're like, but how, you know? But the tide was changing, and I was in politics. I have a political philosophy degree and a degree in musicology. And then I was like, I think I'm becoming an actor, like in my 20s. So I don't come to, I wasn't like my wife was born out of the womb, like, you know, dancing in jazz hands, and she was like an actress before she was 3. I'm that guy who's like, yeah, but why? Which is why I became a teacher. And the concept of Stanislavski was the great what if, right? The magic if, like what if? And they, like, acting is what if. What if is exactly 1/9 of what we do. So grow up. Acting's not about what if. Acting is what is. The whole concept of acting is what is. What is emotion? What is power? What is love? What is lust? What is God? What is life? What is death? What is life? That's the whole point. Every time I watch a Hallmark movie, they're watching it because they're trying to answer the question, what is this thing called life? What is the question of acting. And I figured that out when I was 24. So I would do the stuff. I'd be in class. And not Richard Pinter, he was a genius, but another teacher I don't want to name, Richard Kingston. I would go, yeah, wait, but what is emotion? And he would go, fuck you, just do it. And I'm like, right, that's sensible. So what is emotion, anybody? He told me, he's Gary Kingston, sorry, his name's Gary. he's still teaching. What's that?
Energy and motion.
We're going to edit this one. Yeah, what is emotion? We'll send him just that clip. What is emotion? He's the one that after he said, you're never going to make it anywhere, and I voted against you coming to 2nd year. That's what he said to me. And then when I was cast on Broadway, I came back and said, so I'm an actor and you're not. I was 26. What is emotion? Anyone?
Energy.
Information.
Energere motivare, energy in motion. E-motion. All right? Sunny Chen is energy. You know that? There's no such thing as mass. Mass is energy. E equals mc squared. You guys remember that? So she's moving a bunch of moving atoms on the atomic scale. She's in movement. Sunny Chen is not static. She's in motion, right? So E equals mc squared. Sunny is mass. Mass is energy. Energy is in emotion is emotion. She is emotion. You are emotion. You are a complete moving of emotion at all time. I can ask you 3 questions about the person you love. Who do you love most in the world?
My mom.
Give me one image for why you love her so much.
She has always put me first.
That's about you. Give me an image about her that you love.
She's very calm.
Give me explain that to me.
Nothing makes her angry, and she has empathy for every single person in any situation that you could possibly, like, imagine.
Give me an example. Tell me, like, describe it. She's
like,
in the car, somebody's walking across the street, she's at your house, it's dinner time. Give me an example.
I would get really hot-headed and angry about something like a rapist or a murderer or somebody that I think doesn't deserve to be forgiven, and she can always find a way. Like, she doesn't get angry, she finds the human in, like, any character that I could bring up and feel anger toward or think is a monster. She sees every single person as human. You can't play her up.
She'd make a very good actor.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw that? Like, give me the image for it. You're in front of the TV set, you guys are at the dinner table, your brother said something.
I was sitting on the couch, it was really recently. I was sitting on the couch and she was sitting in the chair that's, like, across from the window. And we were watching that show, 13 Reasons Why, and I was like, oh, I get really, like, hot-headed. I don't mean the things that I say when I say stuff like that. I just get really angry about, like, social justice, and I'm like, oh, that person should be dead or whatever. And she says, like, no, that's like a human being, or that's
Put your hands up to the ceiling. Look up. What's your mom's name?
Angela.
See her. Her eyes, you see her eyes?
Yeah.
Reach up. Thank her for teaching you about empathy and not being a hothead.
Thank you for teaching me about empathy and not being a hothead.
Talk to her your way. Do you speak English or another language?
I speak English.
Yeah. Mom.
Mom, thank you for teaching me about empathy and being the opposite of me in the best possible way.
Now say, I'm sorry that I'm
sorry that I'm ignorant sometimes.
Now reach for her because she's lying in her hospital bed.
What are you doing
Go,
to me?
and you have 30 seconds left to thank her for what she's taught you.
Thank you for being patient with me.
Say I love you.
I love you.
Good. Now look at me. Look at me. Your mom's alive and she's fabulous and you're great.
Whoa, what did she do?
Okay, relax. Shh. It's not, emotions are inside of you. The love for your mom and your fear of losing her is in you all the time. You don't have to reach for emotion, you are emotion. That was very good. That's called emotional preparation. And every scene requires emotional preparation. Now, call your mom tonight and tell her you love her.
Okay.
All emotions exist in all human beings all the time. And so one of the biggest mistakes that we did in the 20th century was we tried to dig down to find emotion. That's insane. You love your mom. We just need to pull the cork out and let out the things inside you. And that's what actors do on set and on stages. You see?
Definitely, yeah.
Now you can do a scene about empathy, you can do a scene about love, you can do a scene about loss, you can do a scene about anxiety and worry. You see?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have so much love in you, it's wonderful. Everyone does, by the way. It's genetically encoded. You're intended to love. That's how our species survives. That's an emotional prep, right? It's nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Ramon as well. I've seen you around for years.
Fuck off.
No, I'm not kidding. You also know my mother.
Fuck off! We just killed her!
No, the runny deli with the really thick hair, the beautiful thick hair.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's my mom.
Let's do that again. That's really white.
She's the best mom on the planet.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love her.
No, you really.
Also,
She does
your
have
wife is
empathy.
Also really beautiful
She
too.
is, yeah.
I'm so jealous of her.
I can't believe you just killed her.
Yeah, it's great. Your job is to kill I've killed my wife 1,000 times, and my son. Yeah, I've killed my son like what, 700 times.
I've taken care of your son too.
Yeah, that's wild. Nice to see you. I didn't know. They're gonna think I planted you in there. That girl plays all the time. If you kill your son every day, and you live in your full experience on the extreme frontiers of your existence, like listen, your mom is gonna die, and I hope for your sake your mom dies before you because that's her job, and I need to die before my son because that's my job. I hope it's very, very long from now, but seconds ago, I was 14. And now I'm 50, and I'm like, what the, how did that happen? You know, and in seconds, I'll be in the ground, or in an urn, or stuffed in the corner is actually what I'd like. But I'll be gone, and if you don't deal with the fact that you're dying every day, and your mom's gonna die, and your friends are gonna die, if you don't live with your dreams and your hopes and your joys and what makes you tickle, if you don't live with your lusts and ambitions and passions, if you don't like live fully all day long, then you're not really living. So that's something we didn't know in 1980. So Stella Adler didn't know, and they would just go feel something, and you're like, well, how? And I was like Gary Kingston. I'm like, but how? So I read all the books. I read them all. Respect for Acting and Uta Hagen and all this stuff, and I read them all, and I was like, nobody's telling me how. They're all telling me like the why, but not the how. There's a mechanics to it, and I was like, oh, the mechanics is called psychology. So I've been researching psychologists, how we work. And Daniel Kahneman teaches you about imagery and emotion. And Brené Brown and these people. That's emotional preparation. You need to do that for every scene you do. Do you understand? So, Meisner, has anyone done Meisner classes? Yeah. Yeah, you're looking at me. Oh, you're laughing at me. Fuck you! You're like, what happened? Like, why is everybody screaming at each other? The reason why everyone screams at each other is, one, because Meisner was an asshole, so he created an asshole technique. But the second reason is because it was wrong. Because Meisner thought of behavior as a result. He said, never fight for the result, always fight for the process. That was his thing. And then he taught everybody to read each other's result. You're happy, you're askance, you're a jerk, or you think you're better than me. Those are not behavior, that's result. People don't actually interact in result. And what's really important, you all need to know, is that people interact within action. You do something to me, I do something to you. When you're in the heat of a moment, you go, stop pushing me! I'm not pushing you! You're falling away from me! And we go into action. When you're in the heat of the moment, you go, open yourself up to me. You don't go, you're so closed off. We don't. We certainly don't go into emotion. And when anyone had a fight with their spouse or parents, if you haven't, what? And it's like when we're going, Michelle and I don't go, stop it! I'm angry! You're so angry! When somebody goes, you're so angry, is a manipulative asshole. And somebody goes, I'm angry! They're not angry. They're guilt-tripping you with their so-called feelings. If I say, fuck off and get away from me, then that person can say, oh my God, he's angry. But I'm not angry. I'm attacking you. I'm vilifying you. I'm portcullising you. I'm chaining you up. I'm evaporating you. I'm humiliating you. I'm verbing you. And so if you take that Meisner exercise and change it into you're verbing, I'm verbing you, verbing, I'm verbing you, all of a sudden people go whoop and they all show up, and it always ends in compassion. It always ends with people going, I fucking see you. Not, I fucking hate you. And so the 20th century was a conflict-oriented century. I know, I grew up in it. The 21st century, although if you listen to Fox News and pay attention to Mr. Trump, it sounds like the world's falling apart. Violence is down 35,000% from the last century. The world is a much better place than it's ever been. Read Steven
Pinker?
No, Steven Pinker. Read Steven Pinker. Shit, what's the name of the book? He disproves the whole concept of the world's going in hell in a handbasket. The world's a much better place than it's ever been. And just, like, is it great? No, it's still, in South Africa, in South Africa in the 1950s, there was a woman raped every 5 seconds. In South Africa today, a woman was raped and killed, and there's 1 million people in the streets in Cape Town fighting it. That's the difference in the world today. It's a very awoken world. We're in a much better place. We're not great. We have a shitload of work to do, but we're in a better place. How the hell did I get into that? What? Yeah, right. So the whole concept of conflict was what the 20th century is about. It's a compassionate century. So you have to have compassion for yourself. You have to have compassion for your scene partner. You have to have a compassion for the writer, for the characters. You have to have compassion for your audience. It's all about compassion and empathy. It's beautiful. You get that? They didn't have that. Meisner was an asshole. He's brilliant, yes. But if you're acting from, acting is living truthfully under the given imaginary circumstance, I say, yeah, okay. Hello, 1949. We all know that. Now, how? Like, how? So acting is the art form of spontaneous behavior which occurs in affecting change in the other person through the circumstances, the surrender to the circumstances that you've been given. That's what acting is. It's different. So I'm going to teach that now. In anything you do on this planet, learning, playing, when Yitzhak Perlman's like, I want to do the Brahms Violin Concerto, he does the Beethoven. I have this image in my mind of him calling Daniel Barenboim and going, Danny, you and I should do the Brahms. He's the conductor. He goes, we should do the Brahms, Beethoven Violin Concerto. And Daniel Barenboim goes, great idea. Okay, so I'm available 2.5 years from now on that month. And he goes, great. And then he starts working. For what you're seeing, it's like, can we do it again? Let's do it. Our lady, whose name I just forgot.
Cherry Jump.
No, this is me.
Kelly.
Kelly Settle. For her to get to the point where she can arise like that, how much rehearsal did she do? Like, I can tell you for a fact that Yitzhak Perlman, to do the Brahms Concerto, had to spend probably at least 1.75 years. He probably put in just under 2 years of 8 hours a day work to be able to pull that off. He's playing every note without thinking. That takes an outrageous amount of preparation. Yitzhak Perlman, by the way, when asked by students, do you have to rehearse that much? There's a student who goes, Mr. Perlman, like, how much do you have to rehearse? Do you have to practice a lot? And Yitzhak Perlman looks at the audience and goes, listen, you don't have to practice that much. 8 to 10 hours a day is fine. At some point, I'll teach you your 45-hour work week. An actor has a 45-hour work week, and if you're not doing it, you're probably not going to make it. I'll teach that one time. Just drop that one in. So if you're a dancer and you're dancing, how much work did it go? You're watching, what's a movie you guys watched recently?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, great. Once Upon a Time, it took you 2 hours and 14 minutes to watch that movie. How much time did it take to make that movie? Like, you're sitting in this room. That's nice. How much time did it take for them to build this building so you can sit in this room? Every time you see anything, you're seeing the final product. And we'll call the final product 1%. But 99% of the work goes into the preparation of it. For the dancer to dance, they spend a lot of time learning the choreography so that they don't... A dancer who's thinking about choreography when they're dancing is not, by definition, a dancer. They're a person who's thinking about choreography. A singer who's thinking about the notes or the words as she's singing is not a singer. They're a person thinking about notes. A violinist thinking about the notes is not a violinist. They're a person playing notes. He's not playing notes. He is Brahms, the Brahms Concerto. Do you understand that? There's a line right here, a very big fucking thick line, and that's the one that you got to push through, and that's the line between preparation and performance. Performance is 1%. In every vocation on the planet, when the pilot lands the plane, it wasn't like suddenly the plane showed up and he just, you know, like there was a lot of training that went into that pilot landing the plane. Do you get it? Only an amateur neophyte chump thinks that they can do something without preparing. When asked what is the process of directing or acting, director Michael Mankin goes, it's easy, it's rigor and then it's surrender. And he goes, and it goes like this. Rigor, 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 surrender, cut. You know, that's how it works. All your work is here. You backload your work so that when you're acting, you're not working. By definition, when you're acting, you're not working because you're not there, because you've become character, because you've surrendered to the flow and have become This Is Me, or you've become the Brahms Concerto, or you've become Hamlet, or you've become Nurse Number 2 on Flash this week. But when the camera's rolling, you stop working. And Paul Newman was famous for saying, I'm actually bored by the time action comes, because that's when I stop the work. And any actor who's aware of themselves as they're working is not acting. Do you all understand that? You know your acting is good when you don't remember it. The definition of a good audition is when it's over, you go, and they go, thank you, and you go, and then you walk out. And I go, how'd it go? And you go, I don't know. And I go, oh, you probably booked it. If you go, it was great. I touched my nose at this point, and I went with my glasses like we worked out in coaching. That, on the word that, I pull my glasses off. I'm like, wow, okay, you need to go to acting school. If your coach ever gives you any blocking notes, if your coach tells you to touch your, if anybody fucking ever cleans lint off their arm or leg in front of me, I will kick you in the teeth. So what the fuck? Yeah. You don't know if you're going to sit, you don't know if you're going to stand, you don't know when you're going to turn, you don't know where you're going to look, you don't know how the lines are going to come out, you don't know if you're going to yell, scream, or cry. You don't know, because you're not in charge. You've prepared everything possible for all those things to happen, then you get out of the way and you let it happen. But if you're going, my line is this, and then I do that on this line, you're like, hello, 1970, we've moved on, right? Acting is the art form of surrender and spontaneous surprise. If you're not surprised, the audience isn't surprised. And then you've got to do it again and again, take after take, exactly the same way. And that's the paradox of acting. You're setting up the orchestrated surprise. But if you are orchestrated, then we hate you. If you're just an improv surprise person, you're just annoying and making choices that aren't the script. You're probably not going to get the part. You need to be both completely what they needed, exactly what the script wanted, and word for word correct, and also completely surprised and accidental. Surrender to the accidental is what we do. So how do you do it? This right here is the surrender line. Surrender. And what are you surrendering? You got a little white flag? One time when I was teaching this years ago, I said surrender, and somebody went, you know what? That's inherently negative. That word surrender, I don't like that word. And I was like, why? And they're like, it's like you're giving something up, like you're giving the white flag and you're giving up. And I went, huh, totally. What are you giving up?
Your self-confidence.
Yeah, oh, good, very good. What's your name?
Natalie.
Hi, Natalie. You're giving up your ego. You're surrendering your ego. If you surrender your ego, if you go, and throw your ego away, then what happens? You're open. You're an open vessel. Your instrument is open. And then what happens? Whoosh, character comes in. And then suddenly you become charismatic. Does anybody think they're charismatic? Who here's got awesome charisma? Of course you don't. If you think you're charismatic, we have to talk, because you have some serious narcissistic problems. But when you're focused on something else other than you, and shit's flowing through you, and things are happening, you become charismatic. Charisma is in the eyes of the beholder. And if you're not charismatic, then you're not an actor. If you think you're charismatic, then you're not a person. Well, you're not a humble person. Your job is to get out of your way and let your charisma shine. Every human being is charismatic naturally because you have a joy voice, remember? So you surrender your ego, you get the white flag, and you say, okay, fuck my ego. And then all of a sudden the character can come through you. And then the character moves you. I know you know it. I know you know it. I know Sam knows it. I know Danica knows it. You should have seen her do Rabbit Hole this month in August. Neela's done it. When you go, oh, and you disappear, and all of a sudden shit's happening between you and the other person, and this weird flowing play thing happens, and stuff spontaneously is occurring, and it's exactly what was written on the page. And you're not in control. And when it's over, you go, like the best feeling in the world, the most terrifying feeling in the world is they go, and here we go, cameras up, sound, speed, and just before they say action, you go, oh my God, what's my first line? Who am I? What am I doing? What's going on? I just had that yesterday on set in Riverdale. I'm like, okay, wait, what the fuck? Oh, was that yesterday? Or was that Wednesday? Wednesday. I go, okay, what's my first line? Who the fuck am I? Who's that? Oh my God, where am I? Ah! And you start panicking. That's called the art of forgetting moment. That's an exceptionally important part of your craft. Right at action, you have to wipe your slate clean and not know what the fuck is going on, because if you are, you're controlling something, because how can you know what's going on if you're the character? So you go, oh God, panic, turn white, turn, I look at my son, I see my son being an asshole, and all of a sudden, quit scowling, son, the whole scene happens. And when the scene's over, it goes, and cut, and you go, and there's the second greatest moment when you go, what the fuck just happened? And the director goes, great, cut, we're moving on, and you're like, and then every actor worth their salt always goes, yeah, and then walks up to the script supervisor and goes, did I see my dialogue? And she's like, you said it, we're perfect. And you're like, great. And then the director's walking by and you go, so did you got what you needed? And like, yeah, it was great. And you're like, okay. And then you're completely ashamed, totally vulnerable, feel like a piece of shit, and you go, oh my God, what happened? And then you go to your trailer and you eat your, like, chicken or tofu, and then you're like, wow, that was really weird. And then you're freaking out, and then it airs, and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then you watch it and you go, what the fuck what am I doing? And for a second you go, what is happening? Why am I touching my nose like that? Why am I saying the words that way? Oh my God, look what I did. Why did it turn that way? And then the first time you go, oh my God, that's so vulnerable. And the second time you go, it's pretty good. And the third time you go, fuck yeah, that's going on my demo. The whole point of acting is that you're not even there. The irony of giving an Academy Award to, Matthew McConaughey is that he's looking at the screen and he's like, he's like, look at that guy, what's he doing? You're giving an award to him for something that he wasn't present for. So present that he's not present, the character's present. What you're giving Matthew McConaughey an award for is not the 1%. You're giving him an award for the 99% that got him there. But people are so confused by what we do that they give Academy Awards to the accent, you all seen Tropic Thunder, so I don't humiliate myself, but never go full retard. Yeah. Like, it's like, if you play a retard or an accent, they'll give you an Academy Award because it's like, oh, I can see that. I can see the technique. But sometimes it's really hard to go, we should give Michelle Williams an award because we're like, I can't see what she's doing. It's just so raw and real and vulnerable. And that's the best acting. Jesus Christ. Manchester by the Sea is like one of that movie. Take Manchester by the Sea and then go watch the greatest movie of 1972 and you're gonna go, oh my God, acting's completely changed. It's completely changed. Acting's fresh and modern. Again, I'm gonna shit on the group theater people, but like anybody who's teaching or learning from Stella Adler, it's like being a modern geneticist, but like I only read Darwin. I haven't read anything past Darwin because Darwin's the key. And I'm like, do you know there's been some advances in research in genetics since Darwin? It's like I read Stella and I work from Stella. I'm like, that's great. You're going to look like a 1970s actor, but acting's changed. Like it's changed. You go back and you look at Burt Reynolds. He was good, but it's 70s-ish. Because we live in an era, the post-internet, open narrative, high-speed communication disconnect of your generation is so different than Paul Newman, who was very much ahead of his time. Do you know that Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward were a couple, right? They were a fantastic couple. And Joan Woodward won the Academy Awards, and she was the actress, and Paul Newman was like the pretty face. That's how they were accepted through the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And somewhere in the late 70s, people were like, no, he's really really good. And then he hits Absence of Malice and The Verdict and stuff, and people are like, oh my God, what is he doing? And if you go back and you watch his work now, in the 50s and 60s, he was 50 years ahead. He was doing something that was completely not what they're doing then. And Joan Woodward's work is really wooden. This pisses some people off, so good luck. Marlon Brando sucked. Like, he sucked. And the whole concept of Brando is so amazing. It's fucking a joke. Go watch Streetcar Named Desire. It's terrible. He's terrible. It's so artificial. I'm like, what are you fucking doing? You should see Alec Baldwin do Stanley Kowalski. He killed it. Because Baldwin's a modern actor. It was brilliant for 1949 and changed the world. But it was 1949. Like, the world has changed, you know? Actors today, Benedict Cumberbatch, Michael Fassbender. Michael Fassbender is way out on the edge. And they're talking about Daniel Kahneman, and they're talking about, like, point versus counterpoint, which you need to understand, and if you don't, we gotta get you up to speed. Matt Damon is talking about a language. All right. I don't know what I'm doing. That was weird. Robin Williams watched my videos, and he comes up to me on set, and he knocks on the door, and he goes, Matt Damon told me during Good Will Hunting, which is insane, because Robin Williams is insanely good in that film. He says, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were telling me that acting has changed, and I never understood it. And I'm realizing now that I'm behind the times and I don't understand it. And I watched your videos, and he goes, that's what's happening. You've got your finger on the change. And I go, yeah. And it's up to you. How old are you? You're young, right? How old are you? Yeah. You're 18. So I'm going to be dead way before you're my age. At some point, you guys have to say, Matthew, we think you're done. Because I'm going to be teaching something that's ancient. Things change, it evolves. I'm going to try to stay hip on what's happening. I'm not hip, but like I keep very, very, very attuned to what's the latest psychological concepts, because we need to know them. For example, teenagehood doesn't exist. It's a construct of the American ethic. Teenagers don't exist. We invented that for corporate reasons. And that's why, in the school shootings, in America, this has nothing to do with acting. In the school shootings in America, what's the common denominator in every one of those school shootings?
Young white male.
Yes, young white male, that's true. But anybody? In the school shootings, in all the schools, across the schools in America, what's the one common denominator? They're in schools, assholes. High schools are hell. What we do is we take a young adult who's supposed to be apprenticed to a mentor naturally in the wild, is how we would have been, who's taught the narrative of growing into an adult. There's 5 stages of man, not 7, sorry, Shakespeare. There's childhood, early adult, middle adult, a mature adult, and old age. That's the 5 stages of piece. It's a 3-act structure. And what we do is we take the early adult, we infantilize them, tell them they're children, and then incarcerate them in institutions and don't actually buddy them up with an elder. So what do? They act like adults who are not being matured. So they fuck each other, do drugs, and shoot each other. You're like, of course, they're high schools. That's why there's high school shootings. Nothing, and it's not like these high school shootings just showed up from Columbine. They've been going on for decades, for centuries. We just haven't talked about it. Anyway, that's just a little side note. These things are important that you keep studying, because everybody's on the forefront. You're working with writers. These writers are way ahead of you psychologically about what's going on in the world. So you need to be. What is a moment? A moment is a shared common event between 2 people in which one person realizes the action, the other person counteracts to that realization. That's what a moment is. And people are like, I don't know, I feel it, I'm in the moment. People are like, I'm a moment-to-moment actor. I live in the moment. And I'm like, how can you not live in the moment? You live in the universe that's linear in time. Everybody's in the moment. It's so stupid. Like, if you're not in the moment, where'd you go? Everybody's in the moment. You choose to not acknowledge the moment out of your fear. But you're in the moment. So how do you get in the moment? Stop not being in the moment. How do you get emotional? You are emotional. Stop not being emotional. Oh, God, I'm so... 3 things. The 3 things that define the human being are the intellect, the emotion, and the action. The 3 things that I think, I feel, I do, therefore I am. Descartes was 1/3 right. It's a triangle. Now I'm off. Right here. The triangle of life is the intellectual, the emotional, and the behavioral. That's why all therapy is REBT, rational emotive behavioral therapy. You rewire the rationale, changes the emotions, and you behave better. Therapy, REP. Intellectual, emotional, behavioral. Everyone get that? I think, I feel, I do. That's why John Lithgow was like, they said, how do you act? And he goes, how do you act? You live. And then he goes, and how you live is you know the scene, you feel the scene, and you do the scene. John Lithgow. You understand that? So, thinking, feeling, and doing. That's the three corners of the triangle. Uh-oh, I fear Wizard of Oz is coming on. Where was I before that? It was really good. I was doing something really smart. Don't film this. I lost track. I was in a... Go ahead. Moment! Look at the moment! Right.
Good.
Thank you.
That's good.
That's the moment. That's the emotion. Living in the moment. That's the emotion, and then that's the intellectual. Here's three things that Stella Adler didn't know. Stella Adler, who was a total see you next Tuesday, total asshole. Sanford Meisner. Everyone read the book on acting by Sanford Meisner? That's good. It makes no sense. I went to the school and no one understands it. We're supposed to read it for class and we all go, do you understand this thing? Anyway, in the book he walks in and he goes, does anybody not understand? He had this, because he used to smoke through his pipe. He used to smoke, he'd smoke in class and flick it at your head if he didn't like your acting. And the room's like full of smoke. You're like, people like, they prayed to Sandy Meisner, and I'm like, Sandy Meisner abused you. He punched students. Diane Keaton has a story about, on stage, he got, you move to the right! You know, and this one actor goes, why? And he goes, 'cause I said so! And the actor goes, but like, why? What's my justification? Or what's my motivation? And Sanford Meisner walks down, and he looks at the actor, and he goes, pow! And he punches him in the face. The kid went down, holding his jaw, broke his jaw, and he goes, that's your fucking motivation! That's the teachers of the 20th century. They were assholes, because they were like megalomaniacs. Now we're like, teachers are like humble. You know why we're humble? Because we're not teaching you anything that you aren't already. Meisner would walk into class and go, Stella Adler would go, like, how many people are here? Like 50 people? They would walk into a class of 20 and they would go, there's one actor and 19 frauds. So I'm going to break them down until the one actor left standing is the actor. And then that person will become the next Marlon Brando. That was the thinking in the 20th century. That's insane. Acting is our form of life. Every student I've ever met is what? Alive. Therefore, you all have it in you to be actors. So my job is not to break you down. My job is to invite you out. Right? Everybody can be an actor. Everybody can be a violinist. The concept, okay, oh my God, we have huge concepts about to come down your way. I'm still gonna get to how to do it in a second, I promise. You are everything you need because you are genetically encoded to have it all. Because you are all descendants of the same 10 people. I'll explain that another time. Look up a thing called the Toba volcano. We're all actually descendants of the same people, which is why has anyone know the Human Genome Project? We're all 99.999999999999998% identical. We're the same people. If an alien came down, they couldn't tell us apart. That's why people have facial dysphagia. They can't tell people apart if they don't have the genetic coding that we have, which is you look different. But you don't look different because I'm a Homo sapien. We look the same to your dog. We're all identical. We all have it inside of us. So, long time ago, like 20 years ago, we realized that all people are charismatic. You could be as depressive as you want and as insular as you want. There's no such thing. I know you all do the Enneagram or your Biggs-Myers thing, but those personality tests are only highlighting how you cope with existence out of your fear. It's the personality that you show to the world. That's not your authenticity. Your authenticity is underneath those things. There is no such thing as an introvert and extrovert. And any psychologist today who's following modern literature would never use those terminology, because you've chosen to be an introvert or chosen to be an extrovert based on your need for love or hiding on your fear and trauma as a child. By the way, just gonna throw this out, all addiction is trauma-based, it's not genetic. Whoops. That's absolute. Also, you guys read your Gabor Mate? Mm-hmm. Right, cancer, the cause of cancer is? Stress and regret. Mm-hmm. Cancer is trauma-based, not genetic-based. And you're like, what the fuck? But it's like we're digging up stuff. We're figuring ourselves out. You're a walking robot. Have you read Michael? You have to read David Eagleman. David Eagleman, you're not in the world. I'll teach you that another time. You're 80 milliseconds out of the world until you get in your charismatic truth, and that's where flow comes from. That's why you can't remember the scene when it's over, because you got 80 milliseconds ahead of life. It's called the speed of life. Do you know that? Right now I'm doing this. You're not watching me do this. You're watching a movie in your head replaying me doing that. Because how could it be possible that you can see it, hear it at the same time? Hearing is much faster than sight. So your brain has to slow down the hearing in order to layer it over the sight and then replays it in your head. So you're not watching me, you're watching me 80 milliseconds after it happened. But when I throw a ball at you and you go, bah! You're in the speed of life. Now you're 80 milliseconds ahead of yourself. And all actors have to be 80 milliseconds ahead of themselves. That's why Benedict Cumberbatch is so fucking good. I'll teach you that. And that's how you become charismatic. And that's the state of flow. The state of flow is speed of life. Sanford Meisner didn't know that. He was onto it with repetition exercise, but he didn't know it. And we need to. And the thing is that when you're on set, which you're all going to be on set one day, with somebody of the stature of Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo knows it. Matt Damon was talking to Robin Williams about it, and Robin Williams came to ask me, what the fuck is he talking about? Matt Damon, when you say, what is acting? He goes, it's the contrapuntal push against something internalized in which you have to then find the flow and surrender to the character. He knows. That's why he's Matt Damon. So, about 20 years ago, we and David Eagleman worked this whole thing out. Oh, the other thing is that 96.8% of everything you do is pre-programmed. There's no such thing as free will. Look that one up. Which is why incarcerating people for crime is insane, because most criminals are not following free will. They're following pre-programmed traumas that's causing them to be criminals. Mr. Trump's way off. Doesn't matter. That's what Manchester by the Sea was about. Kenneth Lonergan knows. Kenneth Lonergan wrote Manchester by the Sea. He's one of the great playwrights, right? Behavior. We figured out that all people have the same behavioral responses. So we all act the same. And then you all put coping mechanisms on top of it, and then we try to differentiate ourselves like personalities, but we're actually behaving the same. So anybody can act. We can make anybody charismatic. You have to be charismatic. Our species would be dead. At some point, you gotta go, right, I'm freaking out, but I'm starving, and I gotta feed the kids. I gotta go get the bananas. There better not be a lion, and you're looking for the lion. You become really charismatic when you're looking for the lion. I just proved, I don't even know your name. Richard. Oh, hi, Richard. That's great. I was talking to her.
Olivia.
Olivia. And what's your mom's name?
Angela.
Oh, my God. I just proved that Olivia is emotion living, and I talked about how, don't say it, Sunny Chen. You're like Charlie Brown now. It's just Sunny Chen. Tomorrow, Sunny Chen. Sunny Chen is emotions because she's mass. So all people are emotional. They just need to release their emotions. And when somebody goes, I don't cry, I'm like, you're choosing not to cry. You understand? You're choosing not to be emotional because you're terrified of your emotions. But that doesn't mean you're not emotional. It means that you're suppressing your emotions. And a suppressed emotion is incredibly unhealthy and is what creates cancer and Parkinson's and ADHD, because it's like having a gas brake, the brake and the gas pedal on at the same time. Your car is like constantly revving. And then you drink in order to calm it down, and that just fuels it more. You're not in a calm state, you're in the state of oblivion. You'll teach that. Carrie DeYoung, one day I'll teach you that. Carrie DeYoung is a psychologist, it doesn't matter, we'll teach you. They all met Carrie DeYoung, and she came in and did a neuroscientific explanation of why you are who you are, and why you destroy yourself, and how to get yourself into a state of calm so you can be an actor. You have to be in the state of calm to be an actor. And most people are in the state of heightened parasympathetic awareness, and they're shutting down their social engagement system. The reason why you like Michelle Williams is because she has a very powerful social engagement system, because she's in a state of calm and zone and flow. And then she plays fucked up characters, but she herself is not fucked up when she's doing it. That's extremely important. A tortured artist is just an annoying tortured person doing art. Tortured artists are assholes who need therapy. You need to be in a state of flow. Anyway, you are emotional and you are charismatic. Here's the last one. Came out 2 years ago. 3 years ago. I've been saying it forever because clearly by the triangle it has to be that. But get ready, this is a good one. Everybody's equally intelligent on the planet. There's no such thing as intelligence. what's that test, that racist test we do? The IQ is just a way to keep non-white people down in America. It's a racist system. It's designed to make white people look smart. No one has an IQ, it's bullshit. Everybody's equally intelligent. You're born with intelligence. Isn't that great? Some people exercised it. Some people expressed it. Some people worked on it. Some people had the incredible fortune to have parents who encouraged you to develop the muscle. But everybody can have a bicep. Now, are you going to practice it and muscle it, or are you going to go, I don't have a bicep? That's the difference. But no one's actually stupid. People are just ignorant. Do you understand that? They're ignoring their potential intelligence. And I teach every actor to be incredibly intelligent, because you are. One of the hallmarks of my teaching, which I'm very, very proud of, is my actors speak with erudition, intelligence, and an elevated sense of their character and who they are. And you guys look fucking unbelievable on the red carpets and on Entertainment Tonight. I'm so proud of my actors, because with the other, like, yeah, I like my character because, you know, she's cool. And then you see Taylor Russell, like, her big movie's coming out, eh? It's called Waves? Wave is about to come out. Taylor Russell's gonna, my actor is gonna win the Academy Award. That'll be good for business. Taylor, like, she's 22 or 23, and they interview her, and she just talks with such intelligence because she knows how to do it, not because she thinks she's smart, because she can't not be smart. And this is the difference between an acting teacher in the 20th century and an acting teacher in the 21st century. I don't teach you anything, because you're already emotional, and you're already intelligent, and you're already charismatic. My job is to permit you to stop not being. You're already an actor. You understand. Tell me your name?
Sky.
Yeah. I didn't say, use some melody, Sky. I didn't say it in a certain timbre. I didn't say, raise your eyebrows as you did it. I just said, what's your name? And then you acted like a human being. Everyone can say dialogue. Saying dialogue like you mean it is insane. Children do it, you know? It's not doing it is my job, to teach you how to not do. My job is to teach you how to not be. My job is to not teach you. My job is to teach you to stop not being. Is that right? Not being. It doesn't matter. That's what I mean. I go, come on, let's go, and I permit you to run up the arc of your learning. I don't beat you, berate you, knock you down. And if you work with any teacher that yells at you, throws a cell phone at your head, calls you names, throws chairs at you, makes you feel stupid or small, or berates you in any way, they're not only assholes and abusive and megalomaniacs in their classroom and teaching probably because they can't get an acting job. I fucking hate bad acting teachers. I love great acting teachers. And there's some really good acting teachers in Vancouver that I really admire. And then there's some real fucking charlatans that piss me off. And some of them are very popular. So be careful, because you cannot work with somebody who puts you down. Their job is to pull you forward. My job, come here, turn around, it's gonna be weird. I go, right, I need Neela to get to this. And I see her here. So I go, Neela, go! Right? And she's there. And I look fucking awesome in class. And I look like a master, and everybody goes, oh, he's so great. But when I go this way, she goes back to where she was. Because she didn't get there. I got her there. My job is to go, I need her to get, and it depends on Neela. I gotta study Neela. And I gotta go, she needs to go here. Because that's who she is. She's not that, she's that. And then I gotta go, come on, 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 come on. And she got herself there. And then we go, awesome. The best note I give is, yes. And everybody hates it. Actor finishes their scene and I go, yep. And they go, but what's my notes? And I go, your note is yep. And they go, but what am I working on? And I go, we all know what you're working on. Relax. Yep is my answer. And then they go, but I want notes. Be hard on me. Be hard on me. And I'm like, right. As soon as an actor says, be hard on me, I go, note, don't ever be hard to this person. That's their like trauma-based desire. And then I go, instead, I go, yeah. And then I go home and I get a fucking email. When you said yeah, were you really saying, I want you to tell me truthfully, be honest with me. And I was like, be honest with you? It's my job, you're insulting me. And I go, I'm going to give you your note again. Yes! Is your note. And then I'm going to give you another scene, which is going to challenge you further down this way. And it's going to be a tough one. And I'm going to say to you, like I did last night in class. Who's in class last night? I said to a bunch of actors, this one's going to fuck you up. This is hard. And the reason why is because you have conflict inferiority, and you're terrified of conflict, and we know that because of your father, and so you don't rise up. And this is a really powerful woman who has authority, who stands up for what she wants. So this one's going to challenge you. So you need to work on this emotional prep and that. And I go, and this is the objective. And then I go, bang, here it is. And then I spend 4 weeks going, come on, come on, come on. And if she gets there, yes. If she doesn't get there, then I go, okay, we're close. And what we've got to work on is this. The only time I say no is when an actor turns around, do it. You were there, right?
Yeah.
You turn around and you walk back after we got you there. That's called psychological suicide. And that I don't accept. And that's when I go, no! It's very rare you hear me say no. It's very rare, because people don't do it. But if they do it, I go, no, you can't do that. You can't fucking go back to where you were when we had you there. And I say that to actors. They have this breakthrough in a scene, and then I go, now you're fucked. And they're like, why? And I go, because we've all seen you do that. So now we know you can do that, and you know you can do that. So now you're fucked, because you can't go over that shit anymore. I'm like, no, God. You know? Checking in and keeping away from your checkout mechanisms. That's the difference. Why? Because the Wizard of Oz. You have no idea. Do you know? Anybody seen the video?
Oh.
Okay! I feel like do, therefore I am. That's the definition of a human being. Intellectual, emotional, and visceral. Which is best exemplified by Guardians of the Galaxy. The raccoon, the plant, and the guy. Doesn't matter. The raccoon is smart, the plant is really, really strong, and the guy is super emotional. You see it? Everywhere you go, you're going to see the triangle. It's the triangle of life. It's everywhere. Because it's the genetic coding of humanity. I just want to acknowledge... what's your name, sir? Skavinsky. No, but hi, Skavinsky. I know.
Trevor.
Trevor. Hi, Trevor. Do you want to say hi? I don't know. You're my other really good-looking, bald-bearded guy. Mine. You see how I appropriated it? It's mine. My fault. Right. Everything you need to know about life you can learn from Wizard of Oz. Here we go. Wizard of Oz is the best feminist piece of all time. You notice it's all run by women, not a single man, and it's effectual, right? It's the bitch next door who's trying to kill the dog. It's Auntie May runs the farm. Uncle, whatever his name is, Uncle Albert, whatever. He's a complete doofus. They're all doofuses. The men are all doofuses. The guy behind the fucking curtain's a doofus. They're all doofus. The princesses, the witches run the whole show. It's a feminist piece. Pay attention to what it's about. She's a young girl. She's on the cusp of puberty, on the cusp of her adulthood. No one's paying attention to her because she's a child. Her dog's gonna get put down and no one cares. So what happens? Something happens to her and she goes down to this vortex of herself, down the twister into her own sense of being. And she lands, and she's got the red ruby slippers on, and she basically has to go down the yellow brick road to find her truth because she's in a place of self-searching. So the first person she comes across on the yellow brick road is whom?
Scarecrow.
The Scarecrow, and the Scarecrow's missing his
Brain.
Then the second person she meets is the
Tin Man.
and the Tin Man's missing his,
Heart.
and the third person she meets is the, and he's missing his brains, heart, courage, intelligence, emotions, and behavior, thinking, feeling, doing. That's the three aspects of a human being. She's meeting herself. You understand that? It's a dream in which she's discovering herself. Now, she goes to the wizard, and the wizard is behind a curtain, and the wizard says, no, you can't. You're nothing, and you're nobody. The wizard is whom?
Yourself.
Her ego,
Fear.
her fear. And her joy is the skipping down the yellow brick road. Good. When Dorothy gets taken captive, who comes up with the plan to save her? The Scarecrow. In other words, the Scarecrow always had brains. He just didn't think so. Think so. Who cried tears which rusted him up when Dorothy got taken hostage? The Tin Man, meaning the Tin Man always had a heart. He just didn't feel it. Who's the one who hurled himself at the monkey guards, or whatever they are, in order to like create a distraction so that they could save Dorothy? The lion. He's also the one that puts out the Scarecrow when he's on fire. So the lion was always courageous. He just didn't act on it. You understand? Meaning, you, or Dorothy, you have brains, heart, courage. You have the intelligence, emotion, and courage to go ahead and do your lives. You're just terrified of it because the fucking wizard is telling you you can't. What do we find out about the wizard when we rip off the curtain?
He's a fraud.
He's a fraud. He's just this little doofus, and his job is to be a joke. And you go, why am I listening to that fucker? And that's who you are. Everything I teach my classes are 4 weeks long, and I teach intellectual, emotional, and actual classes. Week 1 is intelligence, so we call it scarecrow work, and the scarecrow work is script analysis and breakdown. I'm going to teach you that in a second. The week 2 is Tin Men, that's the emotional work. And the week 3 is courageous. It's getting out of yourself, past the other person, get over your fucking insecurities. We love them, get over them, and get connected to the person and serve the other person. Scarecrow, Tin Man, Lion is the work that we do. Now, little tidbit of information. Dorothy, at the end of this, the movie, finds out that she could go home, how? Clicking the red ruby slippers. How many times did she have to click the slippers? 3 times. Thinking, feeling, doing, pow. So the red ruby slippers are the definition of who she was. What's she been wearing since the beginning of the movie? She could have gone home anytime she wanted. She just didn't realize that she had the power. And that's you. You want to be an actor? Do it. You've got the power. Just stop telling yourself that you don't. Right. Now, here's my little side note. When she goes back to the farm, everybody, the men and women, all genuflect to her and show her in prostrate, and they prostrate. They all touch their prostates. That was a very different movie. The Wizard of Ooh. They all kneel to her. And they show her deference because she's now become a fully realized woman. In other words, the red ruby slippers represent what? Anyone?
Her period.
Her menstruation. Wizard of Oz is about getting your period. It's a feminist film. She is a girl that no one listens to. She goes down into herself. She finds her adult self. She comes out, and she's a fully realized woman. That's what the Wizard of Oz is about. You get it? And that's what life is about. Because, here we go, ready? There is no such thing, and this is incredibly important, and if you want to fight me, go ahead, you'll lose. There is no such thing as talent. And you have talent? Fuck you, you do not have talent. No one has talent, and nobody is more talented than anybody else. The concept of talent was invented to keep people down. Ready? I point to Benedict Cumberbatch, who I love. And my student, do you know, oh, I'll stop bragging. Do you know that my student is the new Marvel comic book hero? Simu Liu. Simu's booked Shang-Chi. Like, he was on Kim's Convenience, right? We are freaking the fuck out. He was literally, put himself on tape, got a screen test, 2 days later was at Comic-Con with Benedict Cumberbatch. He's like, his Instagram post was, Simo, what were you up to this weekend? Anyway, Benedict Cumberbatch, I love him. So I go, Benedict Cumberbatch, he's so talented. I just treated 2 people like assholes.
Yourself.
Myself and Benedict Cumberbatch. Why?
Because you took away all his work.
If I say he's talented, I'm implying that I'm not. The reason why I created talent was to go, he's talented, maybe I'm not. Maybe God doesn't love me. Maybe I don't have a gift. Oh God, maybe I should just be a Starbucks barista, even though they have to have talent. Benedict Cumberbatch is not talented. Benedict Cumberbatch is exceptionally skilled. He went to RADA and then went to the RSC. The one that pissed me off was when Robin Williams died. People are like, he was so talented. You're like, Robin Williams was brought up in a loving family who, when he shifted from, what was he going to, politics, poli-sci, into drama, they said, sure. He got his drama degree, then he went to Juilliard, where he was one of 2 people accepted that year, him and Christopher Reeve, and he spent 2 years with Houseman on the stages of Broadway in Juilliard. From that, he then was introduced to Jonathan Winters, studied Jonathan Winters, spent 3 years in sketch comedy and improv and stand-up in the pits of New York City and San Francisco, in which he developed his style. Then he got on the Richard Pryor show, then he got on the New Laugh-In, and then he got booked a guest star on Happy Days. From that, they created Mork in Mork and Mindy, and then he becomes Robin Williams. So his overnight success took him 14 years. So anybody who calls him talented is a fucking dick. You see Cherry Jones is talented, I'm like, you're an asshole. You just stripped away all of her discipline and hard work and everything she put into it. She's no more or less talented than anybody else. She just got through her fear and did something. She stepped out and did it. We applaud people as confident. We're just applauding the people that did it. And the people that don't, you know? But if I go, Benedict Cumberbatch or Robin Williams is talented, I'm implying that I'm not, and I just gave myself an out. Now I can go hang out in my basement and go, it's just not fair. Hollywood's not fair. It's just nepotism. It's all about like your looks and knowing your casting directors. You got all excuses. What's your favorite excuse? You're all assholes to yourself, so I get it. What's your excuse? I'm just too old. I'm too this. I look too much like that actor. My agent's not big enough. Corey Mears won't see me. And I'm like, oh my God, here's the gun. Get it over with. Jesus Christ, grow up. You got everything you need. Go out and become the greatest possible you can be and be insanely good. And then, shit'll happen. It's impossible. It's impossible to fail if you're forcing yourself to succeed. And don't even think in those terms. Just go act. It makes me mad. Talent's not possible. Why? Because you're all genetically identical. I already told you that, the Human Genome Project. So if you're all, mirror neurons. Somebody look that up.
Mirror neurons?
Just throwing that out. It's really important, but it doesn't matter. It's only like 2 years old, but everything that you do is from mirror neurons. We're doing it right now. It's okay. It's impossible that there's one person more talented than the rest if we're all genetically identical. If we're 99.9998%, the Human Genome Project is correct, which it is. Actually, the Human Genome Project, by the way, there's only one section of humanity who's not like the rest. It's the natives of Papua New Guinea. So they're actually different. I don't know. I'd like to teach there and see what the difference is. The rest of us are all identical. You and I, you're 18, I'm 50, you're female, I think. I'm male, whatever that means. Today in 2019, I don't know. You're pretty, I'm, you're Asian and I'm this thing. This is not going well tomorrow. You and I are about as different as you can possibly get. I'm the teacher, you're the student. Do you have big IMDb credits or whatever? Yeah, I do, and you don't. Okay, look how different we are. See? Yeah, we're so different. You and I are identical. We're the same fucking person. We're one person. That's why Bob Marley used to sing about one, and that's, the whole Christian faith is about the one and the great I am. I and I, said Bob Marley. One love, it's you two. Everyone's one. We're all the same person. So therefore, nobody's more talented than the other person. Just some people have been given the beautiful experience of having an upbringing in which they're encouraged to foster that gift that they have. And some people weren't. And if some of you come from abusive and traumatic backgrounds, which I do, my son doesn't, but I do, then it's hard to hear it, eh? Then my job is to say, okay, so your background's your background, let's start from now. And now we're gonna clear off the gunk off your light, and you can go shine your light. Do you believe in God? If you believe in God, people are like, it's a gift. Oh, they have a gift. She really has the gift. Anybody goes, she has a gift. I'm like, you're a fucking asshole. She doesn't have a gift. Or she does, and so do you, and so do all of us. We all have the gift. The gift is called what? Anybody?
Life.
Yeah, existence. You exist. That's the gift. Now, go exist fully, or douse your light. But you've been given the gift equally. I don't think God goes, Richard, you're gifted. Tamara, you're gifted. Fuck you, Sonny. You're gifted. Or God's like, you'll be gifted at video games. You're gifted at marketing. You'll be really good at computer. Oh, God, really, you're good at internet something. He's gifted at the violin. The violin was invented in 1580. What? So get over that stuff. You are talented. Just stop using the word. You're not allowed to use that word in my class. Or choice. I get really angry. Okay. 1%, 99%. So what's the 99%? What's the work that we do? It's not ironically in 3, because all things are in 3, right? So what are they? Anybody? Thinking, feeling, doing. Thinking, feeling, and doing. That's the 3 things. So 33% of your work is intellectual, 33% of your work is emotional, and 33% of your work is charismatic action. That's what we do for a living. Do you understand? I will show you now. Michael, I need you. I also need you up here to help me. That was a joke. I don't know if I could jump over those chairs without hurting myself. I'm going to do it anyway. Because it'd be fun.
So
Right. Here we go. Are we ready? Right. No, you're standing there. Okay, everybody. When I was in Reefer Madness, the stage play, we were having beers in Montreal, and a billboard fell off a building and hit me in the head. So I was passed out for 7 weeks. So I have a recurring concussion syndrome, which means I can't get my head hit. So a few years ago, I took up boxing. And it's because I needed the reflexes to protect myself. So just the other day, I was playing baseball, and I'm a really good third baseman. I shouldn't say that. We have a tournament this week. Hubris. And a line drive was going to my glove and took a funny hop right before my glove and went to my face. And I went, and that's how I broke this finger. I had the ability to do that without thinking, right? That's real time. It was 80 milliseconds ahead, yeah? So I can't hit my head. Right. So Michael's going to catch me, because if I hit my head on the floor, I could die. I have a child.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus, you're mean. Good. So, what do they call that?
Trust.
Right. Zero trust. Get rid of the word trust. There's no such thing. Get rid of the word trust. Trust is a silly word. There's no trust. We're going to do it again. Ready? Yeah? Oh, fuck off. Right. Good. Why is there no trust in that? It's scary as shit. It's terrifying. But why is there no trust in it?
Because you told him.
Because I told him I have a head injury, because I chose Michael because look at the size of him. I chose Michael because he kind of works with me, so he doesn't want to not get the job. I chose Michael because he's a student of mine, he doesn't want me to die before I make sure I get him an agent. There's no fucking way he's going to let me hit the floor. I know he's going to catch me. And yet, when I turn for him to catch me, I go, oh! Oh my God! Oh my God! You fucking know! Right? That was good. You're good. Like, it's freaky. The animal in me goes, no! Right? That is the art of surrender. The art of surrender is not trust. I had a teacher in theater school, actually this was in LA, turn to me and go, trust yourself. And I went, what are you talking about? I don't trust myself. I have no willpower. I am not going to eat carbs. Pizza! Like, I have no willpower. You know Oscar Wilde's thing, right? Sure. I can resist anything but temptation. Yes. I am not going to have a glass of wine tonight. Oh my God, it's rosé. Just like, the only way for me to know that I'm not going to do something is by making sure it's not in my purview. Do you understand? Like, don't trust yourselves. That's insane. You don't even like yourself. How are you going to trust yourself? Know yourself and then know where your limits and boundaries are and then force them. Like, know yourself. So I know he's going to catch me. That moment, we're going to do it again. Richard, say action.
Action.
That is the moment of the camera rolling. That's when I surrender. That's when flow happens. That's when I get 80 milliseconds ahead of myself and my ego disappears. But like the people pushing me, I have to have something I know. I can't, walk into the scene. Where am I? Doesn't matter. What does she mean to me? It doesn't really matter. What's my objective? You're just there. Improv. I'm like, what are you talking about? Anybody do improv? Yeah, improv when it's done badly is the most fucking vile shit on the planet. You just want to kill the people. It's so fucking annoying. And it's almost never done well. I apologize. Like, it's almost never done well. And I have friends who are professional improv artists in New York. They studied for like 5-6 years in the trenches to make sure that they know how to do it. Why? Because it's all rules. Improv's not improv. It's like incredibly constrained. So when you walk on stage, you know that you and the other person are going to be able to play and are following a set of rules in order to get it to go somewhere. The 6 spokes thing, you know that? Anyway, here's what we do for a living. I think, right? I feel. I do. I take down my ego and I connect. And then in action, I surrender, right? This is the work. 33% of the work is here. So, ready? I have like 10 minutes, so you're not going to get this unless you know it. And if you don't know it, I don't know how you don't know it. You should know it. But here we go. All scenes have 2 conversations, obviously, because there's 2 sides to every story. Only an idiot and an actor think that the story's about one thing. All the story's about 2 things. It's about fear and love. It's about incarceration and adoration. It's about success versus morality. It's about carnality versus responsibility. The scene is 2 different conversations, and that's the point and counterpoint of the scene. All scenes are A versus B, not A versus A, or not A, right? It's not, I want her to leave the room, I want to stay in the room. It's, I want her to leave the room even though I need her. I know he needs me, but I should fucking get out of this room. That's what a scene is. Do you all understand that? Therefore, the construction of all scenes is A over B equals B over A. The reason why is because the point life is always in counterpoint. We have it right now. You came to me because you think I know shit, and you don't, and you're gonna get, it's okay, and you're gonna find stuff out for me because you don't know, and I'm the purveyor of all knowledge, right? The truth is, I'm telling you, you know everything I'm teaching you already because you're alive. I don't know, that's my job is to tell you, you already know. And my counterpoint is, what the fuck do I know, right? And it doesn't matter. Here we go. I look at my scene, I read my scene, and I go, there's two conversations in this scene. There's family versus success, or family versus ambition. One character represents one of the conversations, one character represents the other. But deep down inside of me, the other conversation exists. That's called my play against, or my internal conflict, or my counterpoint. And you have the inverse of that. And then I go, good, based on that thematic construction of the scene, what's the scene about? All scenes have circumstances that defy those. Both characters have objectives over the A's and the B's, and we have a relationship to each other, which are in counterpoint to each other. My relationship to you is the inverse of your relationship to me. You break that down, then that's the story, and then you go, now what's the structure? And the structure is 3-act structure. All scenes are in 3 acts. I win, I lose, and then I win, or I lose, I win, and then I lose, right? And one character wins in their A, but loses in their B, and one character loses in their B, and then one character wins in their A. I've lost some of you, haven't I? If you don't know this, I don't know how the fuck you're walking into an audition. It's really annoying to me. Like, it hurts me. It's like walking into the performance and going, I don't really know how to read music, and I'm just gonna guess what Brahms wrote. And the reason why you're not booking is because you don't know your job, so learn it, okay? Read Story by Robert McKee, it's very confusing. Just whatever. Work with people who understand how to break down script. Your job is to not make stuff up. Your job is to invent, you know, Mamet, invent nothing. And you can deny nothing. But you deny everything because you don't even know there's a thing called counterpoint in the scenes, which is insane to me. Anyway, you might use different dialogue. When I was on Legends of Tomorrow, Casper and I spoke the exact same thing in completely different languages. He would go, I don't know how to do an English accent, but he'd be like, I call it the underneath, and like the underneath truth. And I go, yeah, I call it counterpoint. He goes, okay, your underneath truth is my truth, and my truth is your underneath truth. I was like, that's right, that's inverted counterpoint. So we talk the same language, okay? Matt Damon uses the word counterpoint. All scenes are in 3 acts. All acts break into their own 3 acts, and all those sub-acts break into their 3-act units, and all those units break into 3 acts, and all those 3-act micro-units break into their units of 3. So you have, if you don't know this, you need to know it. There's 3 acts, 9 sub-acts, 27 micro-units, 81 micro-units, and 243 major beats of every scene. And if you don't know that each and every one of those moments is a realization and decision, you realize right now that you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So I decide to kind of push it forward in order to try to use an example. That's what's happening. And now you've acknowledged that my example makes sense to you, and now I'm rewarding it for you. That's what a moment is. And all scenes are based on that construction. It's hot in here. Yeah. all scenes are based on that construction of R&Ds across 243 major beats. And then depending on the size of the scene, it could only be 81 or 27. It's a really short scene. If you've got 9 lines, you're probably looking at a 27-beat scene. But if you're doing, you know, a scene from Italian-American Reconciliation, then you're talking probably like 1,900 beats. But every single one of those moments, you need to know, or your "yeah, you suck" voice is going to show up, because you can't become character and surrender to it if you don't know what you're surrendering to. Not knowing the moments of a scene is like going, I'm going to sing Eine kleine Nachtmusik, but I only memorize every 5th note. Bum, bum, bum. And we go, okay, all right, okay, let's do it again. I'm going to give you some notes. In between the bum and the bum, there was a bum, 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 bum. Bum. Can you try that? And you go, oh, okay. My choice was actually a little different. And we go, oh, what's your choice? I was going to do this. Bum, and the director goes, okay. The music is bum, ba, bum, ba, 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 bum, ba, bum. Can you do that? And you go, but that's just, I don't feel that. That's just not what I want to do. That's not my choice. And we go, thank you! You fucking moron. They spent $1 million writing that script. They want you to sing their fucking notes. You're an actor. You want me to do these notes? Sure, I'm a monkey. I'll do whatever you want. But the director says, do it upside. No problem. I'll do that. Because you're an actor. You don't, excuse me. I don't see it that way. Right. You need to know the notes. Everyone understand that? I've humiliated you enough? Right, good. So then you got all your story. And once you got the story and you totally understand it, and if you've got like a 3-page audition, you're probably looking at about 4 hours of work. I have an audition for Snowpiercer on Monday, And I've already put in 5 hours worth of work, and I haven't even started memorizing it yet. Just breaking down the script. Okay? And then you go, when my wife is on Flash on Wednesday, she has this scene she's been working on for 2 weeks, like to get it ready. It's a lot of work. But a lot of actors don't know what the work is, so they just do a lot of weird stuff. I'm gonna do it like I'm a cheetah. I'm gonna feel my character's thing, and like, what are you doing? A lot of actors look like they're working, but it's actually laziness disguised as discipline. Be very wary. If it's not life, then it's not, it's not acting. Good. Once you've done your script analysis, you understand your script analysis, then, oh, that was hard. Then you can go, good, now, because I understand the script, I understand the character's core emotional truth. And the character's core emotional truth is revving inside of them. So the character's core emotional truth is the emotional truth at the center of the scene. What's my character going through? Emotion is not feeling. Feeling is a resultant. He's not angry. And it's also not plot. He's the brother of the guy. It's an emotion, an energy motion. He's fighting against prejudice. He's refusing to say goodbye. He's hanging on to what is his. He's protecting the people he loves. Those are emotions. They sound like actions, don't they? That's because life is an action. Life is a verb. Life's not an adjective or a noun. I'll teach you that another time. You emotionally prepare by going, here's my character's emotional core truth. What do I know about that in my life, in my imagination memory network? Find one image. I just did it with her. Find one image that really works, and then physicalize it, because emotion is energy in motion. A non-physicalized expressed emotion is called a feeling or a mood. A feeling is actually what audiences call emotion after the fact. A mood is an unexpressed emotion. You have to express it, physicalize it, to then, so then you go, okay, let's go back here. Oh, fuck, I know the scene. I know the scene. And then you go, okay, good. Based on that, I got the scene. I am the scene. And then you go, okay, good. Now, all right, get out of my fucking head. Get out of my fucking head. Get out of my fucking head. Where the hell are you? Come back, Michael. Come back, Michael. Oh, here. And they go, I'm totally connected. I'm completely connected. And then you go, okay, I got it. And then you say, the director goes, action. Cut. And you go, and there's 11 hours of work for 90 seconds on film. And we go, huh? And the director goes, yeah, okay, good. Let's do it again. And blank. And when they give you a note, you go, right, it's got to be one of those three things. It's got to be, I'm off by the story, I wasn't emotionally correct, or I'm in my head. So when the director gives me a note, I go, that's an intellectual note. And then I go, tell me that again? I go, right, okay, he's fighting for, oh. And I go, and I adjust the story. And I do it on the fly, because I'm so prepared, I can do it. And then we go, all right, here we go. And action. You know? And it's exactly what the story is. Now, watch. I don't do story analysis, because no one ever taught it to me, because I'm an actor, I feel things. I'm visceral. I'm an instinct person. My brother's an engineer. My mom's a doctor. I became an actor because I'm artistic. Like, nobody's fucking more intelligent than an artist. Like, incredibly intelligent. Grow up and be smart. But we tend to do that, right? So I don't really think about shit. I don't really do that. But oh my God, I love feeling. No, mommy! I'm really feeling. And then I actually am awake. And I'm on, but I have nothing to do with the story, right? And then you say, action. And I go, ah! And I smash my head on the floor. And the director's like, the story's over there, what the fuck are you doing? And you go, well, I decided that the story's about, I'm like, fuck you, that's the story I wrote. Will you go fall in those arms? Or, I'm from RADA, so I'm really good at story analysis. I'm super good at story analysis. Like, really, but emotions are distasteful, we don't do that in England. And I'm on! Now, say action. Action!
Action.
And I can't surrender, because there's no emotional energy to push me through. You understand? Or, I don't know who would be this, but I am intellectually aware, I understand the story, and I get really emotional. I'm there. I'm fucking there. And I make it all about me. Go ahead, say action.
Action.
And the audience is like, what the fuck is that? It's all about him, it's not about me. Ugh. Yeah? Or, if you're your classic Vancouver actor, I don't do story, I don't feel anything, I don't really know what's going on, and action. You understand? Thanks, Dale. However, what really happens is, there's the story. I understand all the story, the two conversations, the objectives, the circumstances, the intentions, the relationships, the actions. I understand the 3-act structure. I understand every moment for every moment. I know who wins and who loses. I'm able to forget it all, get into my emotions. I get there, and then, Jesus, it's a workout. And then I get really fucking connected, and I'm on, and I'm ready. This happened to me yesterday, 2 days ago in Riverdale. And then the director says, action, and go ahead. Action. And the director goes, what the oh. Yeah! Yeah, cut, print! Yes. And we all go, what? Wow, what the fuck was that? And that's the surprising moment that wins you an award. That's what takes you from being a day player to a lead. That's what gets you from being a walk-on to a guest star. That's what takes you from being some girl who's playing nurse number 2 to Michelle Harrison. My wife is unbelievably good.
Now to do that,
you have to practice the fuck out of these things over and over and over.
Yeah, but now the fear thing.
The fear thing is I have to know. I have to know that I know. And if I know that I know, then I'll fall into the arms. But I'm a deeply insecure person. So I'm almost always going, but maybe I don't, but maybe I don't, but maybe I don't. So I just keep working and working. When you think you know your dialogue, you're 10% of the way there. You have to know the dialogue like it's your own. Jeff Daniels, who's potentially one of the greatest actors America's produced, he's like, every time you walk into an audition, it's got to be like the 100th time on Broadway. You have to know your dialogue better than your own name, and you're vomiting this stuff out of your mouth that you're not even aware of where it's coming from. It just happens to be coming from the writer. That's what acting is. And I don't care if we're talking about lead on a feature film or we're talking about 2 lines on The Flash or whatever, some Hallmark movie. You know, oh, the Christmas trees are on sale. You know, you still like, you show up and you surrender to it, and they go, because it's charismatic and it's exciting, it's electric, and they go, oh, let's hire her. She was so bright and exciting. And her choice was so interesting, and you're like, I don't know, okay? Because you just showed up.
See,
but the fear thing holds us back. Well, and that's why we fake shit. We act and schmack and go all this stuff because we don't want to give up that.
The fear thing I'm thinking is that you're given a set of parameters, and you live in the fear of not performing the parameters as directed. Like in this case here, you didn't do what they expected you to do. You did something different.
But it was still in the story, and that's the paradox of acting.
Okay.
Quick. Michael Nankin says there's 3 kinds of actors. Michael Nankin's a big director. He's the executive producer of Van Helsing. Yeah, thanks, Michael. Michael Nankin says he looks at it, he's on set, he's got his headphones on, and actor number 1 is, they do it exactly the way it's written. And he goes, yeah, okay, all right, cut, print, thank you. And he's like, that's okay. He goes, the second kind of actor is, he's looking at the actor, and he goes, sorry, it's not you, don't mind me, I'm staring at you, but I need an actor to work off. He's looking at the actor, and he's going, what the fuck is that actor doing? What the fuck is that actor doing? And he goes, oh, fucking hell. He goes, I gotta go teach an actor how to read a script. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And that's bad. And the best kind of actor is when he's got his headphones on, and he's looking at the monitor, and he goes, what the fuck is that actor doing? Fuck yeah, cut, print! And the third is, they're doing exactly what the writer wrote, and everybody's surprised by it, because something weird's happening. That's what acting is. So you have to go, the hardest kind of acting is when you're in some shit like a Marvel movie. Marvel movies are brutally terrible and fucking brilliant. And have you noticed the actors, the quality of actors that get to play those roles? Because it's so hard. And they all make it look so easy. But Robert Downey Jr. is known, there's a video about him prepping Iron Man, but he's known that one line, he goes, you know that Robert Downey Jr. thing? You know that, well, that's not, you know? He actually spends 11 hours on the one line, figuring it out, working with the fellow actor, getting it. There's a moment in Chaplin, it's 1 minute of the film. He spent 3 weeks preparing for it, so that he didn't have to think about when the camera's on, so it could be surprising. It's the acting where you have to be incredibly rigid, where you have to actually go, you ever done this? I've done these. Where there's a rack focus, and you have to go, no. Eyeballs first, turn, 2, 3, look. And it's like, it's all like ECU, like this. Like, there's no room for any improv. And it's the same thing. You can't be there. Because if I'm thinking, the camera goes, ugh. But if I'm surprising and accidental within this intense confine, then you're Benedict Cumberbatch. That's why he's so good. Fucking Doctor Strange. You're like, oh my God, he's so good, because he's so shut down. The greatest art is born of constraint. The more you constrain yourself, the greater the surprise will be when it shows up. Y'all got that? Right. Whew, that was... and then any questions about your agents? Anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Do you feel like when you allow yourself to kind of emotionally, like at that base level, connect to a story that's like
Yes?
a really hard circumstance?
Yeah.
Like let's say something really traumatic in the
This is going to be a great question. Keep going. Yeah.
It's something really traumatic in the character's life or in the moment that you have to play, and you tap into that vulnerability for that moment.
Yeah.
So you find that like negatively affects you as a person?
That's where you just fell apart. That was a great question until you made a huge mistake. There's no such thing as negative. What's one of the big premises I said about joy and fear and what it causes us to do about the moment and living your life? It makes us do what? This is absolute fucking fact, so deal with this, because it's very important. What do we tend to do? We're given all these gifts, and then we do what? Because of the fear voice. We throw them away, we check out, we hide. And we find all sorts of ways to hide. So the big one is negative emotions. Don't go negative in your emotions. Because if you go into your negative emotions, it'll break your psyche, and you'll be dark and broken. But I said, life is joy, and every experience is to be experienced. So that's an impossible question you just said. There's no such thing as negative emotion. There's emotion and unexpressed emotion. By definition, emotion is moving. So how old are you?
18.
Oh, it's so fucking cool that you're getting this shit now. No, it's good, because, you know, most of us get it when we're in our 30s. There's no such thing as negative or positive emotion. You just put an adjective on top of a verb. A verb is something that's moving, you know? It's moving. So it moves or it doesn't move. It doesn't move positive or negative. The dangerous thing is an unexpressed emotion. So you're talking about something like this, okay? Get ready to be freaked out. My mom's a schizophrenic. She thinks I'm her husband, which is very awkward. And when I was 13, she touched me inappropriately. And she used to bring me to her bed and stuff because she's a depressive schizophrenic who needed me. And it was a very, very painful and confusing thing for me, which I've only come to deal with in my 30s and 40s. I didn't express those emotions and was afraid of those and couldn't go into those in my 20s, which means I had this stuff inside me that wasn't coming out. And so I fucked up a lot. I was drinking a lot. I hurt people. I treated myself badly. I treated people like children. And then when I started acting, I would fall apart. I'd hide behind character. And in my first auditions, I was throwing up. It was because all this emotion had not been expressed. But I thought it was dark, so you shouldn't go there. But there's no such thing as dark. It's all light. So you express it, you feel it, you own it, you play with it, you throw it around, and it's good. And everybody in this room has been traumatized. Trauma is part of the human existence. You can't exist without trauma and shame. It's genetically encoded in us. It's how we understand boundaries and group dynamic as a Homo sapien. And so you have to go into it. Talk to anybody who's been through the retreat. It's crazy. And people are hiding all this stuff. And as soon as you express it, you go, I feel really light. It's because nothing is dark. So Heath Ledger didn't die because he played the Joker. That's fucking stupid shit. And Robin Williams didn't die because he was an actor. Robin Williams survived as long as he did, despite the fact that he had a depressive disorder that was actually caused by a brain disorder, which is very rare, that people didn't know until after they did an autopsy. He had survived as an actor, as a human being, because he had acting. The acting going into the dark stuff kept him alive. Same for Philip Seymour Hoffman. Acting didn't kill him, a drug addiction killed him. But he was off the heroin so long as he was acting. When he stopped acting, he OD'd. Okay? There's a lie out there that emotional truth and going into your depths is going to hurt you, and that by definition, psychologically, is impossible. You can't break your psyche. But we have the fear that you will because the shit terrifies you, and so you keep yourself small. But it's not true. And what's great is in my classes, if you take my class someday, I'll kill you. It's fabulous. We go through an emotional exercise in which I create emotional suicide, and you actually go to your darkest place and you die. And then you get up and then you turn around and then you help somebody else go through it, which by definitions mean that you didn't die. And then after class, everyone's laughing, having a great time, and I go, guys, none of you died. See you next week. Like, we just killed her mom, and she's better for it. Because that, you go, that's so dark, you killed her mom. We didn't kill her mom.
She's alive.
She's alive, she's at home, and she'll text her, and she'll see her tonight. You going back to home?
I am going back
That's
to
great.
home. Yeah.
Do you need a lift?
I actually have my car parked over there. Thank
That's
you.
excellent. We'll see you on the ferry.
Yeah.
What did we turn on when we killed her mom?
Emotion.
What kind of emotion? What emotion specifically?
Wow.
The love she has for her mom. Loss and love are the same thing. That's the two conversations, point and counterpoint. So we didn't kill her mom. We ignited the love. That's why my wife and I go at each other fucking hard. She's a very, very powerful woman, and I'm a very needy guy. And we're both like type A kind of, you know? And we're married 22 years. And I'm going to tell you the reason why is because we kill each other in our imaginations fucking every day for our work. Which means every day I go, but I don't want to be with her. And I'm a much better parent because I've killed my son so much. Because I can't fucking accept the possibility of that. So I go home and I hug him and I tell him he's the most beautiful thing that's ever happened to me and he's a gift and a joy. Because you appreciate it when you look at the loss. Not looking at the dark means you're not looking at the light. Passion is one thing. It's not just, here we go, just hang on to this and then walk away. Joy and fear are not two different things. They're the same thing. Passion's one thing. We think of them as different, but they're not, they're one. And so if you think of it, if you realize it's one thing, then it's all good. That's the Buddha, if you want to know, but it's all one thing. So day and night are not two different things. They're one thing. Think about it. If it was always daytime, if we never had night and it was always daytime, we would never know what? Listen to me very carefully. If it was always daytime and there was never night, we would never know what?
Daytime.
Daytime. Because we wouldn't know it's daytime, because it's always fucking daytime, so it wouldn't mean anything. You have to have night to have day. Therefore, night and day are the same thing. It's all up and down are the same thing. Fear and comfort are the same thing. Success and failure are the same thing. So when somebody goes, I feel I'm so successful, I want success, I'm like, you just create a failure. Yeah? That's the law of counterpoint. All things exist and they're equal opposite at the same time. So therefore, there's no such thing as darkness. And that's very important. And the lie is that, you know, don't talk. And, you know, if you come from a Canadian, British, Euro background, it's like, we don't talk about those things in our family. Like, that's why every uncle's an alcoholic and they all die of cancer. Because you're not talking about that shit. You get it? But at nighttime, they're going to watch you on TV and go, because they're trying to get the shit out when no one's looking. That's why people go to movies. They go to movies and they sit in the dark, popcorn. Oh, it's so great. Oh my gosh, did you want the licorice or the thing? Okay, good. And the movie starts and they're all like, and they all become like these emotional monsters. And then afterwards they're like, yeah, I didn't know if I liked that movie that much. You know? But for a moment they're able to go, oh, that's your job. That's what you do for them. Whee! Any questions? And then, yeah, so then you get an agent. And you go into rooms and you do that and then people give you jobs. I'll teach you the business part of it. But the two most important, you know, I kind of tricked you, I guess. Like making and acting, the tools you need. You're like a headshot. And then you come and it's like, you need to be a fucking human being. You need to know how to do this really well. And then the business will follow if you do those things. I mean, I'll teach you branding and shit and how to promote yourself and blah, blah. But that stuff's easy. The hard part is like, are you really good at being you? And are you really good at being an actor?